Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure studios. Landon Schmidt with us as well, producing. We're Sports Time. We're with you for the next 3 hours. A lot to get into. We had NBA Cup quarterfinal action last night. We got to talk college football. Some good college basketball games last night as well. It feels like any minute now we could have an announcement on the next head coach for North Carolina, so we'll keep our eyes open to any news that comes out there. A lot of transfer portal news coming out as well. So a ton to get into over these next 3 hours. But, Brett, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Brian, and I'm with you. I'm glad to be with you. And the news about Bill Belichick, ever so close. Mm-hmm. We've kind of been there day and a half, haven't we?
So and with Bill Belichick, it's weird because I think most coaches, you're right, it feels like the last 2 days or so we've kind of been in this, it's gonna happen, courtship. Let's wait and see. But at the same time,
close to engagement.
At the same time, though, most coaches, when I see the headline of finalizing a deal, all of that stuff, I would say, okay, cool, he's the next coach, go ahead and print it. Bill Belichick, I'm still kind of a little 1 foot in the door,
Me
1
too.
foot out about it. I still don't know. I won't say he's going to be their next coach until I see an introductory press conference.
I'm there too. And Brian, here's what I fear for North Carolina, and I think for us college football fans, I want it badly. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I've ever pulled for North Carolina or pulled against them. Just mm-hmm. they're out there, and good luck to them. Mm-hmm. But I want it for the sport of college football because I think he will make it even better, mm-hmm. and will leave it better than he found it. I don't know how long he'll be there, but here's what I fear. And I've seen it before in other negotiations around sports, not necessarily just coaching, maybe even sometime in free agency. Bill Belichick or his representative, they keep decorating that tree, mm-hmm. and they keep saying yes.
Yeah,
and they decorate a little more, and they say yes. Mm-hmm. We decorate a little more, and finally, he asked for the son, Steve Belichick, to be coaching waiting. Yes. Now we need a yes. Mm-hmm. And they just really don't want to do it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think that's been the question that was the initial question, right? When
and is he trying to scare, force mm-hmm. an NFL team that has or will have, hey, Coach Belichick, don't take that.
Yeah, don't do this.
Come January 10th, mm-hmm. we'll be hiring you to be the coach of Jacksonville.
Yeah, because, that feels like the likeliest, for next year, even going back to last year's, okay, he didn't get a job this year, but look at the jobs that could potentially open up in the NFL. He'll get one of those jobs. He's, 14 wins away from
he's not taking
all-time win league. No, he's not taking the Jets. But
the Giants.
Maybe the Giants. You mentioned Jacksonville. Maybe. Fingers crossed if Dallas came open, I would take him even if it was just a couple of years. But you would feel like that's where he would want to be. But
Giants are natural.
Oh, yeah. He'd fit in perfectly with the Giants. And, I think I guess depending on what Bill Belichick wants to do with these couple of years, because if he wants to go somewhere that has a quarterback and, then I think there will be some places out there. Giants, you're going to have to draft a quarterback, and now you're going to have to kind of start that whole process over again with a young quarterback.
I got to see him in that Tar Heel blue blazer standing at the press conference holding up the jersey and the helmet and the ball. I got to see it.
Just can't.
I don't know if we'll even see that. I don't know that Mr. Hoodie's going to break out a baby blue blazer.
No, I don't think so. Maybe cut the sleeves off of a North Carolina sweatshirt or something.
Can you imagine him at ACC Media Day?
No. Talk about. Let's be honest, Brett. Especially here, do even know ACC Media Day is going on half the time. If he's there, whole country is going to know. I'm in a group chat in a fantasy football league, and it's 2 or 3 of my buddies from high school, and then friends that they had with a lot of guys from Tennessee, a lot of guys from Alabama, Arkansas, that sort of thing. And North Carolina power program. ACC, let's be honest, basketball school. Nobody ever talks about North Carolina on just a random Tuesday, Wednesday afternoon. Today, it's been the conversation all day. Is if North Carolina gets him, what does that mean for their team?
It's the ultimate basketball school.
It is, and so this
that's not a negative.
Yeah,
I say that with respect.
Yes, and
with reverence,
a ton. But this type of move, if they went on and hired him as their next head coach, it would be I said it yesterday with Bill Marchand. When we do very soon, I guess, or in January, the start of January, when we do the 10 biggest stories of the year, both national and local. That's going to be number one national story if it happens, and nobody would have thought
bigger than Saban's retirement.
That was this year, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Yeah, I think so.
I think so,
Bill
too.
Belichick taking a college coaching
Brian.
job, I think that is the clear favorite for number one if it happens.
Let me go full drones over New Jersey, black helicopter conspiracy. You ready?
Yeah, got to be careful, there's drones.
Oh, that's really true, huh?
Yeah.
That's not a conspiracy.
Supposedly.
I mentioned yesterday, after next weekend, and it's a week from Saturday that Ohio State plays. If they play and get handled, by handled, Tennessee takes care of them 24-7, 24-10, 28-14, 31. People know what handle is.
Yes.
People know the definition of it. They're going to fire Ryan Day.
Yes, they are.
And I mentioned the Nick Saban plan. Because Ohio State, they have all that big binder that Belichick handed North Carolina that he had to have, and they have reportedly signed off on every syllable of it.
Yeah, kudos to them for even reading all of it.
Ohio State has that in place. Ross Bjork and Ohio State, they have that. You could plug almost any functional football coach and win 9 next year at Ohio State. Anybody above functional, you can win 10. Somebody with just a little more, the Bear used to call it just a little extra. You have somebody with just a little extra at Ohio State, you're in the playoffs and maybe making noise. Well, you hire from planet Pluto, Nick Saban, you're playing to be in the finals or win it next year.
Yes.
Well, if all that is in place, why not Ohio State for Bill Belichick?
Good question.
In a week. Why jump at North Carolina when I've had them? I don't have to send this big binder to Ohio State.
No.
I got most of my binder information from Ohio State.
Yeah. Jeez. Who would have thought that on...
Now, that's black helicopters and drones over New Jersey.
I mean, but even the thought of Bill Belichick having his choice of a college coaching job on December 11th. It's crazy.
But in the world that we live in this plug and play 2 to 3 to 4 years max around any building, you go through the SEC. Do you really think Brian Kelly's going to be at LSU in 4 years?
No.
Do you really think Mark Stoops is going to remain at Kentucky in 4 years?
No, not at all.
Sam Pittman, Eli Drink.
Nope.
Lane Kiffin, he's starting year 6 next year.
That's already hard to believe.
Who has him starting year 10?
No. Who had him starting year 6? I mean.
Freeze. Maybe Kirby. Maybe Kirby's the 1, 5, 6, 7 year plan guy.
So, yeah.
Maybe Beamer if he stays, though. But everybody's going to come after him.
Yeah.
If Oklahoma opens, they're coming after 2 people. Heupel first, Beamer second.
Well, that's the thing. I one way or the other, something happens to Beamer. I think either he plummets and loses his job, or he has success and someone else hires.
Nobody has a 30-year mortgage in college football anymore.
No.
Nobody.
No.
You just can't. We're all kind of flying by the seat of our britches in college sports now. We are. Just a little bit of a Band-Aid. I don't like that. I like structure and organization, being able to plan on something, but that's out. We don't know where the court cases are going. And I talk about the 2 big kick points coming up in college football, 2026 and 2031. Well, we know what 2026 is getting here pretty soon.
Yes.
2025 is knocking on the door. And right after it's going to be 26, and how it's going to change. What if it really did consolidate down to 40 to 70, and everybody else kind of thrown overboard? So I say if you got a guy like Nick Saban sitting out there crushing it in the media world, may really be done. I don't want to mess with an agent for a 20-year-old. I bet that's probably predominant in his worldview right now.
I would say so.
And I've done it. I've done it. I've been celebrated. I got my name on the stadium and all that good stuff. And Bill Belichick just wants to get back in. They always want to get back in one more time. Because they're those lifers that can't live without it.
Yeah. I mean, for Nick Saban, what's the worst he can say is no. I mean, you got to make the call.
Now, it's been completely debunked, and it's not going to happen there. Urban Meyer back to Ohio State. It's not going to happen. If I'm somebody, if you can take that grilling, crushing, really from the national media, your local media is not going to do it. You put Urban Meyer at any place in the SEC, the local media covering him would love it. Mm-hmm. Now, national talk, national TV, national columnists, all are going to crush it. But Urban Meyer's in that league with those two.
Yeah.
You just have to be tough enough to take that withering criticism for 3 weeks. It'll wear down. Please don't do anything in that time period. He's got to know that. No photos, no nothing. Mm-hmm. And we get to spring football, and then we'd get to media days, we'd get to football talk, and it would be forgotten.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
And you got that kind of champion coach running your program.
Oh, man,
I say all that. Arkansas should be thinking that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of,
because you're going nowhere with Sam Pittman.
No, I mean that was one of the probably biggest surprises of the year is that Sam Pittman's going to be back next year. I mean,
it was a surprise he was back last year.
Yeah, well, that's very true.
I mean, if 4-8 doesn't get you fired, 6-6 sure won't.
No, well, but then even with Sam Pittman, how it progressed is, I mean, you know how it is when you start hearing that rumor of, well, he's kind of thinking about retiring. Once you get that in your head, a lot of times it's hard to get it out. And so once I started hearing that, I was like, okay, he's going to walk away. It's not going to be fired.
I never thought he would, because no functional brain walks away from that kind of money.
That's a good point. I always forget about the money that these guys are making.
And I mean, Sam Pittman's around my age, 62, and he's got every penny of 10 owed him. If they fired him today, fire me.
Fire me.
But me just go, I love it so much. Y'all gave me my shot. I'm going to give, let's even debt settle. Just give me $1 million. We call it even. No way. Nobody does that and shouldn't.
No, especially when you agreed to all that money. It'd be a stupid deal on your part. No, I'll be honest. You talk about how fast everything's changing in college football. Earlier today, Johnny Radio was talking about how he heard on, I guess he was watching Crane and Company either yesterday or the day before, and that they were just spitballing, throwing out things, talking about bowl games, and said that they should put something together like a secondary tournament. And
like the NIT.
You're right. Yeah. And John brought this up, and I go, John, here's the thing. How in the world are you going to incentivize these players to want to play in an NIT tournament like this? What are you going to pay them NIL or something? And he goes, no, revenue sharing from all of the all this broadcast. And I go, oh my gosh, John, I completely forgot. That's starting. I mean, it's just so fast. It just feels like yesterday that even got brought up.
Now, with revenue sharing, there will still be NIL.
Yes, yeah, but just more money. And it makes it easier to do something like that if that was an idea. But it hit me like a freight train of like, holy cow, you're right. This is starting.
But the pot would have to be right.
Yeah, I told him, I said, I like the idea. I like just throwing that out there, but it would. A lot would have to go right.
If there's no market for the Independence Bowl and the Boca Raton Bowl, the NIT of college football
it'd be tough.
Doesn't do a lot for me.
No, me neither.
You know who would do a lot for?
Who's that?
Barking Crow, our NIT bracketologist.
Oh, man, you're right. If Barking Crow could do both NIT basketball bracketology and NIT football bracketology, that's even better.
I'm going to make my first 2025 on-air sports resolution. You ready?
Okay.
I will not go to any NIT bracketology this year. I will not do it.
Wasn't that yours last year? I don't think you went last year.
I don't think it was a hard and fast resolution, though. I think it was just kind of a general memorandum of understanding
I don't want
gobbledygook.
To go. Yes.
Yeah.
No, this year I think it's got to be a band. No. We
want to do it as a show band? Barking Crow bracketology? What's the website, like New NYC Buckets or something?
No, it's Barking Crow is the website.
But there's another one.
There's two, and I forget the other
Big
one.
Apple Buckets.
I think it's something like that. But now it's not even in the championship game's not even in New York anymore. So.
And all that said, segue into news today.
Oh, geez.
Here comes the expanded NCAA tournament.
Here we go. Good day for it to be announced. We can get Kevin Sweeney's thoughts on it. But
72 is the Mark Wise plan that I'm not dug in opposed to. I'm almost okay by it.
If they do it the way Mark Wise.
A second Dayton.
Yes. If they do it how he proposes it, I'm fine with
What's
that.
the perfect city for the second Dayton?
Well, didn't we decide Albuquerque last year?
I think we did.
I think that's a really good one. When we brought that up, I was like, that's perfect.
And the time difference for a lot of Central and East Coast TV time would work in kind of fanning the games out.
Yeah, no, I love that idea. I mean, look.
But if they go 76, that's a third day. That's Dayton, Albuquerque, and what else? Spokane?
A lot of teams in there if we go.
Vegas will get in there somewhere.
Oh, easily. No, that is the perfect place for the.
I think we did decide on Albuquerque.
I think we did. Albuquerque would be fun, but I mean, here's the thing, Brett. I am pro more games. I love if you put more games in front of me. I'm fine by it.
I'm pro more games, but I know what goes with it. Well, I made the NCAA tournament.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you didn't do jack in it.
Exactly. So, like in my head. Probably,
well, Brett, he's an NCAA tournament coach.
Probably about 45% of me is saying, cool, more games. We do it the Mark Wise plan. I think it's fine. And then the other, 55% of my head is going, these teams don't, I mean, why are we letting more teams
in there? They played since November.
Yeah, we have this, merry-go-round every year where we're going, oh, man, I can't believe this team didn't make it. And then 3 weeks later, we're like, yeah, that team probably should.
You know what causes spontaneous combustion for me?
What's that?
Know when my head explodes.
What's that?
Is when number 77's raising hell.
Exactly. What do you mean we didn't make it?
We beat 2 quad this and quad that and net this. Oh, no.
I think I went back and looked.
You know what Bobby Knight once proposed, and I liked it.
What was it?
Go back to 32 teams. Not more. I mean, Bobby Knight wanted to go back to the Stone Age.
Oh, for it.
Of course he did.
Of course he did. That's just so on par for him. But no, I mean, I think I went back and looked last year, and it was like one team every year that you could actually make a legitimate argument of like, man, this team should have been in the tournament. Outside of that, it was like, no, that team really.
Who was that team last year?
Last year it was Indiana State with what they did.
They had a legit.
They had a really good argument.
They were sore for a reason.
Yeah, they should have been mad. But outside of that, it was like Oklahoma. I mean, what did Oklahoma do last year that needed to be in the NCAA tournament? So yeah, we'll talk about that later when Kevin Sweeney joins us.
Memphis and Ole Miss. Anybody turned down an NIT bid, you sure didn't deserve an NCAA tournament bid.
Yeah, that's a good point because you're right. We did have all of that last year. Well, let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Coach Tommy West will join us. We'll get his thoughts on what happened in the conference championship games. We'll also start previewing some of these college football playoff games with him. We'll get his thoughts on Tigers and West Virginia, as well as that bowl game less than a week away now. Hard to believe, but it'll be here before we know it. So we'll talk a lot of football with Coach Tommy West. 3:45, NBA Cup. We had 2 games last night, 2 more games tonight. So we'll talk about what happened in those games last night, preview tonight as well. 4 o'clock, David Cohn, the co-host of Crane and Company, will join us to talk some college football. We'll get his thoughts on conference championship weekend, what he thought of the bracket, and everything going on in the college football world, and especially Bill Belichick. Maybe at that point we'll have some more information, some more updates on Bill Belichick. 4:30, we'll talk the NFL. We'll look at this weekend's slate, some other news. I know we got some mock drafts that are coming out as we're getting a better idea of what this draft class will look like and what that draft order could look like. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Kevin Sweeney from Sports Illustrated will join us, talk a ton of college basketball with him. We'll get his thoughts on the NCAA tournament. Likely is at least what it sounds like to expand here in the near future. 5:30, we'll talk about what's trending. 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Get over there for the Ultimate Game Room and Fall Sale. Complete the Ultimate Game Room with a new pool table, shuffleboard, and an arcade game. Help them clear out their overstock of theater seating. It's all priced to move. It's also perfect fire pit weather, and at Family Leisure, all fire pits 20 to 30% off. And don't forget about the spas. In-stock spas up to $1,500 off, and they're ready for delivery. So head out to Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
Landon Producing, Brett and Bryant with you until 6 o'clock. We want you to be a part of our show by texting or calling 901-360-8255. That's the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line. And all our guests will appear on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line at 901-360-8255. Always from our Family Leisure studio, wherever we are. In this first hour, every day brought to you by Lexus of Memphis, the one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis. And a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays from everyone at Lexus of Memphis to you and yours out there in our great listening audience. They're at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on the remaining 24s, all the 25s, and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Call them at 901-334-9673, but stop by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2025 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, Brett, my top story of the day has got to be the NBA Cup action we got last night, quarterfinals.
Cup fever?
I've got it, Brett. I enjoyed last night.
More than a mild rash?
Way more than a rash.
Low-grade fever?
Maybe a high fever.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm in on the NBA Cup quarterfinal action last night. Thought we got two
fever dreams, wishing someday the Grizzlies are in it?
Yes, no, fever dreams that the Grizzlies were in it last night, Brett.
Okay.
And then I woke up and it wasn't. It was the Thunder.
Just cold sweats?
That's right, yes. I didn't know what was going on, but I thought two really fun games. You had the first one, Bucks and Magic, where, look, Magic, without their two best players, Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero, I thought put up a really, really great fight against the Buccaneers. The start of that second quarter, I believe they, in less than 2 minutes, 19 combined points between the two teams, 9 for 9 from the field, if I have that right. I mean, everything was going in. Yes, everything was going in. It was a fun game. Ultimately, the Bucks were able to prevail and get that win, so they will now, and how about this, Brett? Back-to-back NBA Cup semifinal appearances for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Buck pride.
I mean, they are leaving a lasting legacy. Yeah, Dame time. It was Dame time last night. Then that second game, a game that wasn't as close as the first one, but was still very competitive. Thunder and Mavericks, they were going back and forth early in the first half. Third quarter, Mavericks came out a little slow, only 19 points in that third quarter, and the Thunder jumped all over them. 33-19 was the final score of that third quarter scoring. So 118-104 Thunder. I mean, we've seen what they do. Chet Holmgren has been out. He didn't play last night, but they're able to, look down the bench, and they've got other guys that can step up. I mean, Isaiah Hartenstein, who they got in the offseason from the New York Knicks, he's been awesome for them since returning from injury. A team that I think we know to keep an eye on in the West, and they keep winning now 10-2 at home.
My top story, John Calipari's first significant win at Arkansas last night over Michigan, and a real good one. Down big in the first half, then they come back, then they hang on after being way ahead, all at Madison Square Garden at the Jimmy V Classic. Now not much competition for Cal and the Razorbacks before the SEC meat grinder begins. And today at the NCAA net, the SEC represented the 1, the 2, the 5, the 6, the 10, 22, 24, 29, 32, all the way down to Mizzou at 36. Everything Mizzou does helps Memphis. Arkansas is at 40. Wow. How about that? 12 of the 16 teams in the SEC come in before Memphis at 47.
Wow.
SEC basketball and baseball are tougher than SEC football.
Yeah, basketball this year has been unbelievable.
South Carolina 16th in the net, or 16th in SEC net at 94.
Wow. So all in the top 100. That is incredible.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day is Bill Belichick. What happens? It feels like we will get an answer today. I mean, that's at least the reporting makes it seem like something could happen today, but Bill Belichick, you never know, and all the reporting points to him being the next coach at North Carolina. But again, we talked about it to start the show. I'll believe it when I see it. And it's not because I doubt that he will take the job. I just don't know what to believe with Bill Belichick. I think anything could happen.
Let's say he passes. What he's already done, though, for whoever the next guy that Bubba Cunningham will get, that guy can say, I know y'all can come up with this NIL money because you had the plan in place for him.
You agreed to it. I mean, it was sitting in Bill Belichick's lap.
And you know there's plenty of money out of North Carolina.
Absolutely. So, I mean, what does he do? I don't know. Is the fit good? Will he work as a college head coach? I don't know. Only time will tell, I suppose. But what he at least said earlier this week, I like the idea of. I mean, he knows what it takes to get to the NFL. He knows what it takes to have not only the physical abilities, the physical tools, but the mental tools to make it at that level. He's seen it all. He's going to coach tough. Will that work with these young guys that are making a lot of money now? I really don't know. But he says, if I am a college head coach, I will be pumping guys into the NFL. And I believe him when he says that. But now the rest, I don't know if it'll work.
North Carolina, opening day at home in Chapel Hill against TCU.
Do you see I believe their first road game is next year?
At Charlotte.
How about that?
In front of 15,000.
Bill Belichick's on the sideline at Charlotte.
Richmond Spiders, UCF Knights are the only dates. The opponents are there, but that's the only date set.
So you're telling me we're going to see next year a national champion head coach, maybe against an NFL Super Bowl champion.
Yeah,
wow.
Scott Frost.
I mean, they write books about that.
Orlando, they really do. Documentaries about it. My night top story, the Orlando Magic and Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA Cup semis. They await the winners of Hawks at Knicks in the East and Golden State at Houston in the West. Only Oklahoma City can be around out of these teams, I think, come late May, early June in conference finals. But if there's a team that can maybe celebrate bigger than the Lakers, we've talked about the Knicks, they may put on a show.
Oh, man.
Haven't had a real celebration since going to the finals in 99. Hadn't won it all. Next spring will be 52 years since Red Holtzman won it for the Knicks. He won it in 70 and 73 or so. Back in the early 70s. It's been a long time. But you know, if Houston won it, if Orlando won it, that's pretty significant for those franchises.
Yeah,
I know Houston's won it all before, but in this rebuild, that'd be worth the party.
Yeah, no, that'd be huge. I mean, it would be big stories. Both those teams, really young, kind of starting to find their stride to compete at this level. Well, that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's get to our first break. And when we come back, we're talking some college football with Coach Tommy West.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Because it's Christmas, Family Leisure needs your help. Family Leisure has inventory that is off the move because it's Christmas. So don't wait. You can complete your ultimate game room with a new pool table, a new shuffleboard, new arcade games, or just get all of them for Christmas. Tons and tons of theater seating, overstock, and place to move. 'Tis the season for fire pits. And all fire pits at Family Leisure are now 20 to 30% off. You say you didn't get a spa this year? Let's say no more. Spas are in stock, ready for Christmas delivery, and up to $1,500 off. These are just a few of the deals happening right now for Christmas. Just come on by and check out their gigantic showroom. You never know what kind of deal you're going to find. Family Leisure. It's right at I-40 where family and fun come together for Christmas.
Family Leisure, 2120 Wittenberg in Memphis, right off I-40. You get the best of Memphis for lunch and dinner at Elwood Shack. Choose from house pastrami, corned beef, smoked turkey, roast beef, roast pork, beef brisket, and pulled shoulders, all made in-house. Elwood's fresh baked bread is delivered daily only in our bakery in Cordova, and all Elwood's cakes and sweet treats come from Frost Bakery. Open daily for lunch and dinner at Elwood Shack on Summer in the Lowe's parking lot. And the newest Elwood's at 4045 Plus. You are ready. Get the best of Memphis. Anywhere else at Elwood Shack.
This holiday season, give the gift of Gould's with a Gould's gift card for someone you love. Relaxation, perfectly gifted, is right for everyone. The gift of tranquility with a Gold Spa gift card is perfect for anyone who deserves a moment to unwind, refresh, and rejuvenate. Because relaxation is the greatest gift of all. Happy holidays from Gould's. Gold Spa, locally owned and operated since 1932.
It's a holiday experience like no other. The Light Garden at Olive Branch City Park. It's a walk-through entertainment extravaganza with hundreds of giant 3D Christmas-like displays, photos with Santa, food and drinks, and special event nights including fireworks on New Year's Eve. New this year is a winter-inspired 18-hole miniature golf course. Bring the family out nightly through January 1st. Go to lightcards.online for details and to buy tickets. And stay tuned to Sports 56 and 98.5 FM for chances to win tickets to go see the Light Card.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 95 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus Service. Here are your hosts, Let's Talk Sports with Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you, and joining us now to talk some college football, Coach Tommy West. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. I want to start with the SEC championship game, Georgia and Texas. A really fun game. Texas leads it at half. Georgia starting quarterback Carson Beck gets injured on the final play of the first half. He can't go the rest of the game. So I'm curious, from a coach's perspective, in a game like that, conference championship game, to have to put in the backup quarterback that has not played any significant game time in the season, to have to put him in that spot, what is that feeling like? What is kind of going on in terms of play calling, and try to make sure you put him in a good position to try to go out there and make plays?
Yeah, well, you're prepared because you know it can always happen. Mm-hmm. So mentally and then physically in practice, you're prepared if you have to use your backup. But in a situation like that, I think that what you're trying to do then, you're down when he comes in. You're trying to make sure you can get the game to the fourth quarter and then try to win the game in the fourth quarter, and that's exactly what they did.
Coach, did you ever have maybe the night before or at walkthrough the day of, you go to that backup quarterback and go, listen, this isn't cliched. You're one play away. You got to be ready, because you had to win a ball game one time with Billy Bearfield.
Oh, God. And one year we were down to our fourth quarterback.
Opening
one time
day?
We lost two quarterbacks up at East Carolina.
Yeah.
And I had the only one left was a red shirt, and I had to go to the doctors and say, hey, how bad are these two injuries? How long do you think they'll be out? And they said, we think both of them are going to be 4 or 5 weeks. And I had to pull the kid's red shirt. That was before they got 4 games. So I had to pull his red shirt right there. But, man, I used to not only tell the backup, but tell the third-team guys, look, if we get an ankle, all of a sudden you're the backup now. Mm-hmm. And so you can't be jacking around and during the walkthroughs. I mean, you got to be preparing like you're going to play, because that's the most important position on the field.
And Georgia even got down to the backup punter. You got to tell everybody, be ready for everything.
Yeah. Man, backup punter, holder, they were. I tell you, Georgia. We've kind of been talking about it all year. Georgia is one of the best I think I've ever seen in my time of finding a way to win. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. I go back to Alabama now when they were getting killed in the first half, and they come back and they almost win the game. Georgia Tech's got them beat. They come back and win it in 8 overtimes. They are one of the most resilient teams that I've ever watched.
And Coach West, you know this, even with the margin that it ended up being, there wasn't anybody satisfied and content in Oxford until that clock hit all zeros.
Oh, no, absolutely. Now, that was one where they couldn't come back, to which is why, we've been disappointed in Ole Miss, because they're as talented, as we've said all year, they're as talented as anybody in the country, I think. Man, they got a great draw in the bowl game, I think.
It appears that way, but I go back to 2 years ago. We kind of thought the same thing with Texas Tech, and then Coach West, we go down there with an effort that would make your eyes bleed.
Yeah. That's the thing that you worry about right now, Stats, is that will this Ole Miss team that's full of transfers, portal guys, will they go down there to prove something, or will it be a disinterested effort because they didn't get it in the playoff?
Coach West, you know this area very well. You know many times, many times, and I saw a friend of mine at lunch today, Ole Miss guy, and we both kind of commiserated about this. There was a time that 9-3, we're skipping off to a bowl site and feeling so good about ourselves. So for Memphis 10-2, but short of the preseason goal, Ole Miss 9-3, but short of the preseason goal. What do you say to those fan bases about expectations and then reality?
Well, it's hard to say anything, I think, because Ole Miss, I don't know exactly because I'm not in the know, but the word is Ole Miss spent $20 million in the portal this year. And if they spent 20, then the 3 losses and not getting in the playoff isn't what you expected. So when people invest their money, it's just like buying into a stock. When you invest your money in something, you expect some return. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's happened. I said that about Memphis. When you invest your money, and they have, I mean, they've built facilities. Now they've got the number 1 NIL in their conference, and then you expect great returns. The sad thing for Memphis, I feel bad for them, because there's no doubt in my mind that they're the best team in that league. And I think they proved that when they went to Tulane and basically manhandled what I thought was a very good Tulane team. They took them apart. It's a shame. I wish Memphis had been the one to get the shot in the portal. I'd love to see them play boys.
Yeah, no, that would be a fun match.
Not going to happen, I know. But
got them last year, regular season.
Sure did.
Yeah, that's home. Right. I think Memphis that quarterback. I think is really, really good. They got Navy and they kind of stubbed their toe there at Navy, and but I think they're a really good team. But man, the bar has certainly been raised in that area with Memphis and with Ole Miss.
I mean, 19 wins between the two of them, and everybody's got a big sad face.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy.
It really is, Coach.
But like we said, the more you put in it, the more you expect out of it.
Absolutely. Well, what do you think about this matchup for the Tigers in their bowl game, going down to Frisco to play West Virginia? So, I mean, it's not what you wanted, but you're still getting a bowl game against a power conference opponent. Now, that power conference opponent, not a great season for them, 6-6, just fired their head coach. What do you make of this bowl game?
I think they'll start feeling really good. I look for Memphis to roll in this game. I would be really disappointed if they don't. This is a chance to prove that you did belong, and I think that will be their attitude. I think that's what, and I think they'll go prove it in this game. I think they'll beat West Virginia pretty good.
Tennessee in the playoffs, but they have to go on the road to Columbus. The stakes at play in this game, winner moves on to the quarterfinals, to the Elite Eight. The defeated team, if it's Tennessee, Josh Heupel, I think he can head into the offseason of we're getting really close. If it's Ryan Day in Ohio State, I don't know that he makes it to the offseason.
I agree with you. That's going to be a sad situation now when you've got, 5 losses on your resume or something like that. It kind of reminds me of Coach Battle, all the games that he won, but at the end of the day, we didn't beat Alabama in the 70s. And, of course, Alabama lost, I think, 3 conference games from 71 to
nobody
79.
beat him, and he got everybody fired.
Nobody beat him. But that's why Coach Battle was let go, and unfortunately it looks like same thing could be happening to Ryan Day. But, man, what a bad draw with Tennessee. Let's talk about I personally, I'm sure y'all have talked about it, I thought that the committee got it right. Mm-hmm. And I know the Alabama people don't want to hear that.
We love it.
And I think the reason that they got it right, I think if they don't put SMU in, then all of a sudden now you've got some teams that may opt out of a conference championship game because if they lose, they think they could be put out. And I think that's the reason that they put SMU in. Is just because, they don't want that to happen. And when everybody thought that the brand, that Alabama's brand would put them in, but they're going to have to change the format because this is totally unfair. Tennessee going to have to beat Ohio State. Then they're going to have to beat Oregon. Then they'd probably have to beat Texas. And then they'd probably have to beat Georgia or Penn State or a really good. I mean, and then you look at Penn State, and they've got the route that you can go. So, I mean, it's just they're going to have to do something. I think we're all saying they're probably going to have to seed it and play it like the basketball tournament.
Coach West, don't you think the game plan for Coach Heupel in Tennessee it's got to be kind of a modified Michigan plan, but incorporate a little more Nico? Michigan beat Ohio State with a quarterback that threw for 62 yards, but this Tennessee game plan, it could be one General Neyland drew up, just come out and pound the rock.
Yeah, and fortunately, that's what Tennessee does best. With a young quarterback, and I know he's played 12 games now. He's not really young anymore, but still, I was looking at the stats, and in only two SEC games did he throw for over 200 yards. So passing, even though Heupel likes to throw it, passing really isn't what they're doing best right now. That back's really, really good, best player on their team, I think, and their offensive line's good. So I mean, they kind of fit into that mold. And their defense is good enough to hold Ohio State to where they can score enough points to win it.
All right, if he called you today and said, give me some advice about the modern athlete, this modern college football, Bill Belichick calls you, and you've just had a year out after 45 years in this rat race, what would you tell Bill Belichick what he really needs to be concerned about in this modern era of college football?
I think it's becoming. I don't know that we're totally there, but unfortunately, in my opinion, we're becoming pro football, and that's what I think. There's not a lot of loyalty. Where years past, we like when I played. I mean, we all loved our school. We all hated everybody else in our conference. We wanted to be there. It's different now, and it started. I think the internet started a lot of it because these kids talk all the time. Even if you're playing on the weekend, these kids talk, and then after the game, they're all laughing, hugging, talking, and
jersey swapping.
Oh yeah, jersey
which
swapping.
Drives me
and
crazy.
It certainly didn't used to be that way.
No.
I mean, you hated that they made you go over there and shake their hand. They made you do it, but it's different. It's guys. The one thing I think that would be different would be the discipline. Where in the NFL the league handles all the discipline. They don't do. Coaches don't do any of it. The league does it all, or the owner in Dallas does some of it. But I think that's a different part. But that's what he's used to. So I don't know. I'm not crazy about the move for North Carolina because they just had an older coach that had kind of been around and it looks to me like. And the money that he's wanting to bring in all his, all the people the entourage that he has, I don't know. We'll see if it works.
Did Belichick ever call and thank you for Stephen Gostkowski? He should have.
The funny thing is, and I had a reputation of being hard on kickers.
Yes,
and I probably
hard
was.
on special teams.
And when he called about me, and that's why when he came to work out with our player here 4 or 5 years ago, I'd already met him and knew him. But he called and he said, "Coach, I just got one question to ask you about your kicker." I said, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "Can he handle hard coaching?" And I said, "Coach, I'll promise you one thing. I can't guarantee you he'll make all his field goals, but he can handle hard coaching."
He's been chewed out.
Yeah, he understands that.
And he was one of those guys that, as a coach's dream, Stephen Gostkowski wanted to be coached hard.
Yeah, see, he was an athlete. He wasn't just a kicker. I mean, he was a really good baseball player. Matter of fact, he came on a partial baseball scholarship, and that was part of the deal. They asked us before he would come in baseball, could he walk on in football? And I said, we went and watched him kick one day and said, absolutely, love to have him.
He told us at a Super Bowl one time, he said he begged y'all to let him have a down or two at free safety, and you said, you're not playing any free safety.
No. And he did. And but he was that type. He was more like your, I wouldn't say a linebacker, but a safety. He was more like coaching a safety than he was coaching a kicker, where, when you got some kickers, you got to really worry about the temperament and how you handle their personalities, and because they'll go in the tank on you. And but it wasn't Stephen. The more you got on Stephen, the madder he got, the better he kicked.
That was a good UTEP win with Billy Bearfield, wasn't it?
It really was.
They're all good, though, aren't they?
Yeah. You think about coaches back, that was a Mike Price team.
That's right. That is right.
Wow.
Coach Tommy West, thank you so much. We'll visit again next week, and in 2 weeks is Christmas, and 3 weeks New Year's Day. So we'll leave you alone after next week for a little while.
Okay, I've certainly enjoyed it. But, okay, you guys have a good weekend.
Thanks, you, Coach.
Coach Tommy West joining us, talk some college football, and always such a fun segment with him. And
really is.
Stephen Gostkowski in there.
And we know Vinatieri's going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I think someday, it could be a long time, maybe longer than the years out for Vinatieri, but Stephen Gostkowski's got an argument to make.
Oh, a really good argument.
And I'm glad we're putting them in.
Yes.
For a long time, it was only Jan Stenerud and then, Morton Anderson. And I think Vinatieri goes in.
I think so.
In this class, announced at the Super Bowl.
I think you're right. And hopefully one day we'll be talking about the same for Gostkowski.
Oh, Gotti, man. He made some big kicks. Coach Tommy West was on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. Sissy's Log Cabin, the official jeweler of the Memphis Grizzlies. That location at 4542 Poplar. You want to see what you imagine Christmas looking like. You go by there and you go inside, and it just feels and looks like something you would see quite literally on Madison Avenue or Michigan Avenue in Chicago. Bill Jones, his great team, here to stay, also proud supporters of Tigers athletics, and every Monday all fall they brought us to look back at the weekend in the SEC at 4:30 on Mondays. They have the Mid-South's largest selection of one-of-a-kind jewelry, engagement rings, wedding bands, necklaces, and earrings for that special moment. And those special moments, that'll be 2 weeks from today for a lot of people. 9,000 square foot store in Laurelwood with expanded lines for Rolex, Cartier, diamonds, and more since 1970, with all the great locations across the Mid-South. Sissy's offers a selection of diamonds, estate jewelry, and fine gifts. Official jeweler for the Memphis Grizzlies in FedEx Forum with the floor seat lounge with the display cases that you can see at Grizzlies games. Unsurpassed value, exceptional service, expansive selection, and an extraordinary shopping experience, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Let's get to another break, and when we come back, we got to talk about the NBA Cup. We had 2 games last night, 2 more tonight in quarterfinal action. We'll talk about that next on Sports Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Want to make this the most unforgettable Christmas? Genesis Time is
save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check the propane tank on your grill first before hosting a tailgate.
Let's fire up. Here, let me try. Seriously? You didn't check the propane? Who wants chips?
Yeah, check them first this month. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Merry Christmas! 'Tis the season for your business to grow going into 2025. But how? SnapshotMyBusiness.com gives you a snapshot of your online reputation, so you know what's being said about your business. Naughty or nice. Have you looked? With your free snapshot from SnapshotMyBusiness.com, you'll find the people being naughty or nice about your business. And fix your online reputation this holiday. SnapshotMyBusiness.com.
Nation, join John, Jaron, Des, and your Memphis Grizzlies this Friday at 7 p.m. when your Grizzlies host the Brooklyn Nets. Get hyped, get ready for a star-studded show, and secure your tickets today at Grizzlies.com.
Well, I thought last night was fun. The first night of the quarterfinal action for the NBA Cup. Again, we kind of had the questions earlier in the season, but quarterfinal action at home stadiums, semifinals and finals will be in Vegas. So last night, a game in Milwaukee, a game in Oklahoma City, and I thought we're fun. I thought a little, the change of pace that kind of the NBA Cup is, and now that you're kind of in bracket play, I really enjoyed watching last night.
I would imagine they did it intentionally, but these last two nights, for as busy and as hectic as we always liken it is, this has been about a big a lull since around the baseball All-Star break.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Michigan and Arkansas, and even Tennessee in the first game, and the NBA Cup was about it out there last night. It's even less out there tonight.
Yeah, no, it's this week. I don't know.
Did you see how many points Holy Family scored on Temple?
No, I didn't. I know.
They got 81.
Well, I was about to say, I saw at one point they had like
not Holy Family, but Holy you know what.
Well,
I shouldn't say that.
yeah, a lot of people I'm sure were saying that when they saw how many points they put up. It's a lot, Brett. D2 school, is that what we decided they were yesterday? The Tigers. That's all I got on Holy Family. Don't ask any more questions about them.
Holy cow.
Holy cow, that's right. But no, I mean, this week has been weird with how everything's been laid out. But yeah, I mean,
exam time out in college.
Yeah, so not a lot of schools
really good timing for the NBA. I bet that wasn't coincidental.
No, not at all. But, they saw this with, college football, everybody wrapping up with bowls not starting yet. Exam week for college basketball.
Tomorrow night.
Good time.
Do you watch awards night?
No.
Have you ever?
No.
I used to really be intrigued by it. I'm not now, and I say this, and I sure don't want to be a hypocrite. I vote for the Heisman. I will reveal my vote next Monday.
Can't wait.
I'm not much on these voted on awards.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's...
I don't know how else you decide them.
Yeah.
But, some of these All-American teams and voted on awards... I know a lot of times it's the hard work of the best sports information director out there getting people to vote for them.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, for me, with social media now, once it's announced, even sometimes before it's announced, you get a tweet.
So no suspense.
Exactly.
And kind of the highlight montage doesn't do it. And tomorrow night, we got a great NFL game.
Yeah, no, and back to it, with what Amazon and those Prime games have been all year long. They've been so good and so much fun to watch. And another really good one tomorrow night.
If you had to bet on Oklahoma City, how far would you bet on them going come springtime? Staying healthy and all that.
if they're fully healthy,
Western Conference Finals.
Certainly.
Yeah.
They are a really, really good team. And,
any time before that would be a shocker.
I think so. Yeah. And we've talked about it. I think a lot of people talk about.
They could get to the postseason and act young.
They could. I think getting there last year and having that experience last year certainly helped a lot. And, some of those veteran guys that they have on that roster with those younger guys. But, when you look at this team, what they can do offensively, but defensively, one of the best teams in the NBA on that end of the court. It's going to be really tough to beat them on any night. And so, I think they go pretty deep.
I may put on my old Knick fandom from the early 70s.
Please
the last time they won championships when I started being a fan of theirs because all my friends were Celtic fans.
Yeah.
And I just was averse to that. And always for the Lakers against the Celtics, but the Knicks against the Celtics in the East back then, I was for it because I want to see them. What kind of celebration will they have? We talked about it. Do they go full Canyon of Heroes?
Well, that's a good question. It's a couple years ago when they were in the playoffs and, it felt like the entire city was losing their mind about playoff basketball for the Knicks. I don't know how much they get up for cup play.
Went to the NBA Finals in '99, a couple of Eastern Conference Finals appearances since then with some of the fun ones with Reggie Miller, but not a lot.
Not much, no.
Carmelo Anthony get to the Eastern Conference Finals once?
I think
like 04?
I think so.
Or so, yeah, I do too.
I think so, once.
Maybe Mike
there.
Woodson coach, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right, but I don't know if the NBA Cup
they're ready to celebrate something.
Yeah, and it just feels like that fits the mold of it.
And the Knicks think of themselves as championship flight.
Yes, no doubt about it. Brad.
And they're not.
No, they're not. But yes, their fan base will tell you they're one of the elites of the NBA.
Kind of like Nebraska football now.
Kind of like Nebraska football. That's a really good comparison, Brett. Yeah.
Nebraska won it a lot more, but it's been a long time.
It's been a really long time since they've been relevant, even. But no, I mean, I think both these games tonight, certainly the second one more than that first one. I mean, Warriors and Rockets with the legends and Hall of Fame power that the Warriors have on that roster, and then Rockets, maybe one of the stories of the NBA season so far. Young team and kind of starting to hit that curve.
Emme's that good.
Getting that he's a great coach, and they've got some really talented players on that team.
Who would you rather have coaching your team, Joe Mazzulla or Ime Udoka?
Yeah, probably Ime.
Yeah,
probably Ime. I hate to say that. I like Joe Mazzulla, but I'd probably take.
But his title is Ime Udoka.
Look, I mean, I was about Ime didn't get fired because he was a bad coach.
He sure did.
Yeah, he didn't get fired because of
quite
lack of postseason success. So, I mean, yeah, I'd take him probably over a lot of coaches.
We can't really go into why he was fired.
No, it's a family show, Brett. But
Brian, at some point today, I'm going to lose my mind over the Ohio legislature that introduced a bill to make it a felony.
Yeah, it might come in the next segment.
Flag.
That feels like a good topic for David Cohn.
Sure does.
What is that?
All I want to know is if in the state of Ohio there's not a single pothole on any road. Every teacher salary will go up in 2025. Mm-hmm. Every single 8th grader is reading and doing math at a 10th grade proficient level. And the budget is balanced. There's no waste, fraud, or abuse in anything the state runs for him to have enough time to do this crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm. This was definitely one of his advisors coming in and go, sir, we got, elections around the corner. Elections always around the corner,
always.
Brett. You know what would really help us? Y'all, look at all these Ohio State fans. They're so mad at Michigan right now. Let's make it a felony.
Just
what are we doing?
Why are we wasting anytime anything in the legislative body dealing with sports drives me crazy until everything else they're supposed to be in charge of is perfect. Stay out of sports.
Yes. I mean, just insane. The thought of planting a flag becoming a felony is just ridiculous. Yeah, we'll definitely have to bring that up in our next segment with David Cohn. He's always fired up to talk some college football. So let's go ahead and wrap up this hour. And when we come back, talking a whole lot of college football with David Cohn.
High-energy, full-body workout that utilizes the same equipment and technology employed by Floyd Mayweather to achieve his impressive 50-0 record. The workout features 4 types of heavy bags, treadmills, rows, battle ropes, weights, and much more. Visit Mayweather Boxing and Fitness, located at 2257 North Germantown Parkway in Cordova. Train like a champ. Mayweather Boxing and Fitness. 901-673-1267.
Tis the season for your business to grow going into 2025. But how? SnapshotMyBusiness.com gets you a snapshot of your online reputation, so you know what's being said about your business. Naughty or nice. Have you looked? With your free snapshot from SnapshotMyBusiness.com, you'll find the people being naughty or nice about your business. And fix your online reputation this holiday. SnapshotMyBusiness.com.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check the propane tank on your grill first before hosting a tailgate.
Let's fire up. Here, let me try. Seriously? You didn't check the propane? Who wants chips?
Yeah, check them first this month. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family-friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's on Highway 64 in Marble, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill. WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10. For Sportstime on Sports 56 and 95 FM. Once again, Brett Rosary and Ryan Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you, and joining us now, like he always does at 4 o'clock on Wednesday afternoons during the football season, David Cohn, the co-host of Crane and Company, joins us now. David, so much to get into during this segment. I guess I will start with the maybe biggest news that seems to be happening right now, and then we'll get to everything else. It sounds like Bill Belichick close to being named the head coach at North Carolina. This was, kind of something that came out late last week into the weekend that he was interested in this, that he had interviewed. Now it sounds like they, reports that deals are being finalized to make this happen. Bill Belichick at North Carolina at the college level, what do you think about that idea?
Well, thank you guys, as always, for having me on. I've been tracking this Bill Belichick story for, 48, 72 hours like everyone else and trying to see, hey, is this finalized so we can officially do a segment on this on Crane and Company? And, the reports were for a while that, yes, Bill Belichick has informed UNC that he has accepted the position. Now we're just waiting on North Carolina to accept him as the head coach. That's just the most Bill Belichick way to ever do something. So, yeah, I don't know. A couple things here. Bill Belichick, for a long time, could make the case that he was the greatest football coach in NFL history. Despite not having maybe the most wins like Don Shula, he had the most Super Bowls and was on such a run there that he, I think we all kind of made that case at some point for Bill Belichick. And then Tom Brady leaves. Tom Brady wins another Super Bowl in Tampa Bay. Bill Belichick sort of forced out there in New England, which is just one of the more surprising moves. It just shows you this is a league and a sport of what have you done for me right now, not even what have you done for me lately. And so I think Bill Belichick's, tenure there and his legacy certainly sort of took a bit of a hit having gone out that way in New England. But now with these rumors that he's going to come to the college game, I actually look at Bill Belichick in a more favorable light because this just shows how much this guy loves ball. And I'll be honest with you, I like seeing him on the Manning cast on Monday Night Football games when he appears with Peyton and Eli in the first half of the games because he's just talking football. It's a side of him that we hadn't seen before. And if you love football enough that you've won the most Super Bowls as a head coach in NFL history, and now you're going to go be the head coach at North Carolina, that says a lot to me about your love of the game. I don't know about some of these rumors that he, wants his son to succeed in there. It seems like if you go to North Carolina and you handle your business and you win football games, that you could name your successor anyway. And then another funny meme that I saw was anybody questioning his ability to recruit should just remember that he does have a very attractive 24-year-old girlfriend.
That's right.
Whatever you may think about the moral conundrum of that situation, it does certainly make for a funny recruiting meme.
She's an adult. She can make her own decisions. I don't know how happy her mom and dad are about it, but, it also could be a guy pulled up in a van that's part of a biker gang, so I guess you'd rather have Bill Belichick, right, David?
I just don't know. I'm the father of two young toddler girls right now, and I'm just not sure if, your daughter says I'm bringing my boyfriend home, and it's 72-year-old Bill Belichick. That's certainly a conversation to be had. But is this a weird thing? Not his relationship so much, but going to North Carolina. Certainly it is. Does it give us one extra great thing to talk about? One extra awesome football coach in the college game, coming to college instead of retreating from our game, going to the NFL as Jim Harbaugh did and so many others have? yes. And so I hope that this happens. I hope that it goes through. I hope he's the head coach at North Carolina. And look, I'm as interested to see the experiment as anyone else in the country.
Championship weekend took a while to get good. Friday night was hard to watch, and then for a lot of the day Saturday until the SEC game, and then it got really good with all the SEC game, with the Big Ten championship game, with the ACC championship game. I will give credit to SMU. I didn't think they were that good, and that was with losing. But I think we all think if they get to overtime, they win that game. That quarterback keeps every play alive. I'm not one just automatically advancing Penn State in that bracket.
No, certainly not. And I'm speaking to you 15 minutes after getting off of air with SMU head coach Rhett Lashley. He was kind enough to join us today. What a man. And we talked about several things. I asked him, I said, if there was one factor in this game against Penn State, first off, you're leading your team on the road in the inaugural 12-team playoff to one of the coolest venues in all of college football, and it's going to be a whiteout, which was the most insane thing I've ever participated in as a college football player when I played at Michigan and had to go to Penn State, and those games were at night as a whiteout. It's the coolest thing you'll ever see. Rhett Lashley gets a chance to lead the SMU Mustangs into that environment, so if there's one thing you could control or would hope for as a key to victory, what would it be? And he said for our team to keep our composure early with everything that's going on in an environment like that, because if we keep our composure early, I think you saw in the ACC championship game in the second half just what we're capable of. So those were his words to me just 15 minutes ago. I also asked him, I took a chance and said, hey, were you surprised? The entire country was waiting on the edge of their seats to see, would it be SMU, who stormed back in the ACC championship, or would it be Alabama, who is a very good football team, has some very impressive wins, but also has some bad losses this year? Were you surprised to see the SMU logo go up over Alabama? And he laughed and said, yes, I was surprised. ESPN certainly makes it a dramatic affair on television, don't they? And I said, yeah, it's a television show, and they certainly do their part. He said, but yeah, I was surprised, but I think that we have earned the right and we deserve the right. And, take that for whatever it's worth, guys. I think that if Alabama and SMU were playing a football game today and you forced me to bet on one of those teams as if my life depended on it, I would take Alabama. But certainly I would have taken Alabama over Vanderbilt.
I would have
taken Alabama over Oklahoma, and they didn't win those football games.
Over UT on third Saturday, I would have taken them.
Yeah, I took them on all three of those games, actually, Brett. Thank you for making that point, too. But, so everyone in the country is going to debate on, who should be in, who shouldn't be in.
Ole Miss over Kentucky is a 16-point home favorite. Ole Miss over Florida is a 12.5-point favorite.
And the committee not having a transparent process, I think, sort of opens themselves up to a lot of this criticism. But with that being said, the 12 teams have been selected, and we just, we were excited to get Coach Rhett Lashley on. I hope that he can take Kevin Jennings and the rest of this SMU team on the road and put forth an impressive showing. I agree with you. I don't think that this is just a given that Penn State wins this football game. And keep in mind, it's not even the largest spread out of all the first-round games. That Clemson and Texas game right now has the highest spread.
Mm-hmm. Would you go a day early and practice outside in the conditions up there?
Well, you're right on the money, man, because we talked about all these things today. We got asked that same exact question. More about some of these ACC teams that have to travel all the way across the country in the middle of the season, which I think makes it even harder because you have Thursday and Friday classes, and how early can you get out to certain places. I will say this. I would most likely prefer to get there as early as possible, especially this being a bowl game. Look, you can have these kids, if they even go to class anymore, Brett. I don't know what the school requirement is anymore in the NIL era, but certainly you can maneuver some things when it comes to playoff and bowl games. But I will say this Rose Bowl jersey that's sitting right behind me right now, I was very fortunate to go out and be a part of that bowl game. We went out 2 weeks early to Los Angeles from Michigan, and Southern Cal still gave us a pretty good whipping. So, give yourself the best chance you can, show up as early as possible. But, they're going to need, SMU's going to need a lot of things to go right in order to win a football game of this magnitude in that environment.
The first year Penn State was in the Big Ten, 1994, and they win it, and they go out there to play Oregon. Joe Pa took everybody in the athletics department, and there was no limit then. There was until recently. Now nobody knows. Like you said, David, he took everybody in the athletics department, every manager, every equipment guy, everybody, every trainer. They went out 4 weeks early. So we're getting out of the State College PA weather and getting to Southern California.
Wow, I wasn't familiar with that
and
story.
And spent whatever they wanted to spend.
It makes a lot of sense.
David, I'm curious, you're talking about Rhett Lashley. I love watching him coach and what he's doing at SMU, but I hear so many people kind of talking about, he's, that next big job that comes open and, he's going to be out of there and chasing it. But I think we forget now SMU being in the ACC with what they have backing them for NIL money and the kind of funds that he has available to him to create a team. It might be harder to get him to leave SMU because of the possibilities of what he can build there.
Yeah, well, think about this right here. You're talking about a football program in SMU that has so much pride who said, we want a tougher schedule. You want to talk about strength of schedule? We want a tougher schedule so badly that we will join one of the Power 4 conferences at no revenue for 9 seasons.
For free.
Right? Like, they're not getting paid for 9 years. And so, one, that speaks to the desire of them and the pride they have in their football program, but 2, it also speaks to that money they have out in Dallas to be able to do that, and they just extended Rhett Lashley or gave him more years. I don't know exactly all the terms of the deal, but they recognize the talent they have in him as a head coach, and good for them to do so. With that being said, I don't know Coach Lashley's dreams and desires personally. I know that he spent time at a lot of different schools, and we have a lot of Auburn fans in our show who say, hey, if things don't work out with Hugh Freeze, man, Rhett Lashley would be a great get at Auburn. But look, I still think Hugh Freeze is going to do some good things at Auburn, and like I said, I don't think Rhett Lashley's going anywhere in the immediate future. Who knows where he wants to be when he finally hangs the whistle up, but for right now, they got a good thing going.
David Cohn, our guest from Crane and Company. He's co-host with the Crane Boys, and he's with us on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. David, you would be a good one. If you're commissioner, all-knowing emperor of college football, what would you change about the college football playoff process?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question, and thank you for your kind words. First off, I would keep some of the objective metrics for entry. I still think winning your conference needs to mean something. So whether that just gives you an auto bid and maybe not one of the first 4 seeds or even keep it as the first 4 seeds, certainly we can have that debate, and I would lean on a council of people for us to be able to make those sorts of decisions, assuming that I was the czar, like you're saying in this hypothetical.
Small room or big room, your council?
Well, you'd certainly be on it, that's for sure.
Well, thanks. We just got smaller.
as big as it needs to be for us to get the right decisions made. I would also instruct the council and say, look, every single playoff format that's ever existed in every sport has been criticized in some capacity. There's no NFL commission. Roger Goodell doesn't pick who makes the playoffs, and yet every year someone says, wait, the NFC South is terrible this year, and someone's going to go to the playoffs, and they're not as good as the 4th team in the NFC North. Every playoff format is going to get criticized. But I think some combination of objective metrics where you have to accomplish this thing in order to get in, that's what I like about the conference championship aspect of this. And then 2, for the other part of it where the committee does decide who gets to go, I would make the requirements known and very specific, even possibly to the extent of having a computer element to this, just like the BCS. Maybe that could be the second pillar. You have an objective pillar and then a second pillar where it's strength of schedule. We know it's this percentage of the requirement. We know your overall record is this percentage of the requirement. We know the eye test is this percentage, and maybe even involve the computer in that. And then for that third pillar, which is the most subjective part of it, where we have a room full of people voting and deciding and saying, hey, this is the eye test and we're going to apply and this is who we think's good. For that to be just one pillar of the entire process and then make it transparent. Let everyone in the world listen in on it.
Live
Can you
stream
believe like all the conversations we had here on Crane and Company talking about, well, Alabama beat Georgia and now Georgia went on the road and beat Texas and who has SMU played and who has this person beat? All these conversations we've had. I hope the committee also had those. Please, God, I hope that you're doing at least as much work as I'm doing with not nearly the authority, but make it transparent, show it to the world. And you want to talk about television revenue, who wouldn't have watched that? You know what I'd do, Brett? I would sign a deal with a television network to make it like a Hard Knock show. Okay, so then people can actually watch all the conversations we're having with the testimonials from the College Football Playoff Committee, with the debates back and forth, no matter how heated they
everything
they
on
get,
the record,
and let people see that so that everyone can sort of determine it and have a glimpse into it, and then I'd sell the television rights to that so that we double up.
I want the bright light of scrutiny. It is the best disinfectant ever. I don't want any cabal. I don't want any sidebars going down the hallway. Everything out there on the record in the public domain.
Now, one quick there before you go on to the next topic. Yes, 100%. And I would love to see whether or not the potential playoff matchups are getting talked about, because there's two sides of this, and I understand both of them. The first one is, well, the College Football Playoff Committee shouldn't be considering playoff matchups. They should just be ranking the teams 1 through 12 on who they think is best, and then let the playoff matchups and the seeding fall where they may. Okay, fair enough, because certainly if you're tasking the committee, hey, we want to know who's the 12 best teams, but also keep in mind that we want to make sure the conference championship games, the importance of those isn't diluted, but also we don't want strength of schedule to be diluted, so keep that in mind when you make your picks. And then also keep in mind the playoff matchups that we're going to get so that we don't have any rematches or rematch conference matches. You're asking the committee to do so much. It's like the referees on the field, right? You have to just task them with one or two very simple things that they can execute. With that being said, I want them to. I want to see the best playoff matchup. Don't we all want to see that? And when you look at what we have right now, with the 5-12, the 6-11, the 7-10, and the 8-9, you'll never be able to convince me that the playoff committee didn't talk about what possible matchups were going to take place, and I'm glad they did. I think we have benefited from that. If that means that, hey, we slid Notre Dame to the 7 rather than keeping them at the 5 because we want to see Clemson in Texas and we want to see Notre Dame and Indiana in an in-state matchup, well, while that can create some room for, what would you say, some collusion and some corruption, I do think that it has given us, at least in this year, some very, very enticing playoff matchups, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the not only are the playoffs and bowl season here, but transfer portal season is here. A ton of guys in, a handful of guys already announcing where they'll play next year. Is there an answer to the transfer portal? And what, I guess my question should be, what would you change with the transfer portal and how it's ran right now?
Yeah, well, in terms of leaning on the expertise of a council, again, if you're putting me in the hypothetical of being a czar in these scenarios,
yes.
And thank you for doing so, this is quite fun, then I would lean on the feedback of coaches. Mm-hmm. And the coaches are certainly frustrated right now. And the number one thing I would do is I would call Nick Saban, and I'd say, Coach Saban, help us out with these problems, right? It makes no sense that some of these coaches, coming off rivalry week, going into conference championship week, have to ink the final deals with their high school recruits, and then the very next week after that, the transfer portal opens. What are we doing here, guys? This is like free agency being unleashed the week before the AFC and the NFC or the wild card playoffs in the NFL. So much of this just doesn't make sense. It seems to me that the schedule could be redone in a way that could help some of these coaches out. At the same time, a lot of the coaches have different points of view and different things that they want to see. Moving the signing day up was a request to some of them so that they can go ahead and get the players on the roster and get them onto the team officially before bowl season starts. Again, this is where I would want to hear from as many of those coaches as possible, because a lot of things in the sport right now just don't make sense.
David, I'm joking when I say this, but your dad's an attorney, right?
He practiced law, or he taught law for 30 years, yes.
So I'm sure you know a lot of people in the legal circles. Double check your custodial rights, because it's going to get pushed out of this bowl game when Michigan plays Alabama, because I know what it's going to be like at your house.
Brother, Alabama and Michigan have played in 3 of the 5 years of my marriage. College football is trying to test my marriage so much, but you know what?
Proof you've got the best marriage in the country.
Yes.
Thank you. The first one, 2019, Darby Lou and I went to the game. That was down there in, Orlando or Jacksonville, I believe. We went down there to that one. Michigan's leading at half. I knew it was too good to be true. A quarterback by the name of Mac Jones is filling in that day. Not many people knew about
Jacksonville native Mac Jones.
Alabama storms back and wins. Now we're going to face them in the ReliaQuest Bowl, where sounds like a bunch of Michigan guys are opting out because they're going to be first-round picks, which I'm really proud of those guys. They've accomplished a lot. I don't fault them at all for that. It's funny to me to see a year where Michigan, we put together an NIT bracket, which is the next 12 teams, 13 through 25 who would be in there. Michigan's not even in the NIT bracket. They're not even ranked, and yet they draw the first team left out, the first bubble team in the college football playoff there at 11 in Alabama. That just shows you anytime a bowl game can put these two brands together, they're going to do it, and I love it. But I'll just say this. Forget about the ReliaQuest Bowl. Forget about whatever that was, Gator Bowl or Citrus Bowl in Jacksonville. Michigan won the only one I needed, and that was the Rose Bowl earlier this year. If my wife and I, if we can survive a Rose Bowl matchup that goes to overtime,
and sending Coach Saban to retirement,
for a chance to go to the Natty in what was Nick Saban's final football game, if we can survive that, then my marriage is good, guys.
Right, can survive anything. Well, something that might not survive is flag planting, because at least in Ohio, one representative is trying to make it a felony to plant flags in the state of Ohio.
I'm giving money to whoever runs against him next time.
What a wild headline this morning.
I'm not going to say too much, fellas, because I have a certain segment on this show every week called Get Off My Lawn, which is very apropos for tomorrow, and I'm going to be putting a lot of thought into this. I'm going to be trying to bring it the best I can tomorrow on this topic.
Can you believe the people's time and money got spent on this clown?
Well, there's a couple things here that I've heard. I got a bunch of people texting me behind the scenes on this topic, and I have to do a little bit of investigating there, Brett, because I've heard that maybe there's a possibility this guy is really a low-key Michigan fan, and this is a behind enemy line false flag situation, literally. So I already got better. I need to do a little research to find out, one, is this actually a Michigan fan? Who's
rivalry never stops.
I can't wait. This rivalry was created from an actual border war, the Toledo War, right there on the border. So would you expect
disputed
anything less
state
than
lines
legislation? But if it is in fact, if this is not a false flag operation, if this is in fact a representative in the state of Ohio who legitimately does not want to see Michigan run to midfield and celebrate their flag waving anymore, then guys, is there any better example than that Michigan has broken this program?
That's it. I
mean, I don't know. I never thought I'd see it. When they were winning 8 in a row and Jim Harbaugh couldn't beat Urban Meyer, I just never thought I'd see the day where not only do they win 4 straight, but there's some legislation being put forward so that we can't celebrate. That's incredible.
And David, I know you know, but I don't think a lot of people would realize Michigan leads that all-time series.
Oh, yeah, I have to remind people every year. But here's Brett, here's the game that gets played, right? And this was for the last couple years where it's like, hey, Michigan's on a win streak. And then Buckeyes fans say, yeah, well, what about the last 10 years? And I'm like, okay, but they own the overall series. Oh, well, that doesn't count. Like, it only counts for the span of time in which my team won more game than yours. And I'm like,
Tell
well,
me about it. I hear it in the Egg Bowl.
The all-time series they're winning. They have the current streak. They have the latest win. Like, at some point, guys, this legislation's just not. It's not going to help you at all.
No, it won't. Well, David, as always, thanks so much for
Great
joining
stuff.
us. And
Can't wait to see that tomorrow.
Yeah, and next week when we talk to you, we'll be previewing first-round games for the playoffs.
Bracketology next week.
Can't wait.
Thank you, David.
Thanks, David.
Thanks, guys.
David Cohn with us from Crane & Company. You hear Jake Crane every Monday about 11:10, kicking off the week
really
with John Harden. Really good segment. The Crane brothers and David, they do it. They do a great job. Nothing says holiday fun like driving home in a new All-Star Chevy from All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch. First exit on Highway 78 when you cross into Mississippi. No border war there, but you're into Mississippi and take Kraft Goodman Road and you're at All-Star. It's the Red Tag event in Olive Branch that could get you some big customer cash or financing as low as zero. How about a Tahoe or Silverado, maybe a new Blazer or Suburban, one of those big ribbons around a vehicle on Christmas morning. Together, let's drive into Christmas and the new year in a new All-Star Chevrolet. Some will have special financing and no payments until spring. Your good credit deserves it, and you get it at All-Star. Olive Branch is where all the new Silverados and Tahoes are, new 24s and 25s. If you're law enforcement, educator, military, recent grad, healthcare worker, first responder, instant extra $500 bonus back. Every late model pre-owned you're looking for, they have it at All-Star. All the Silverados, all the Jeeps, Toyotas, Ram trucks, Lexus, Ford trucks, SUVs, and check out that Camaro. If you've got any vehicle you want to sell, bring it to All-Star in Olive Branch today and you get the most cash back for it. Don't miss the final holiday red tag sale going on now in Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet. Drew and everyone at All-Star wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a happy 2025. For more information, go to allstarautogroup.com.
So 2 hours ago, Adam Schefter tweeted this out. North Carolina is working to trying to close a deal with Bill Belichick to make the six-time Super Bowl champion the Tar Heels coach. But sources told ESPN there are still issues that both sides need to work through. Now, 2 minutes ago, he has tweeted out, Chapel Bill, six-time Super Bowl winning head coach Bill Belichick is finalizing a deal to become the new head coach at North Carolina. Sources tell me, Pete Thamel, and Chris Lowe. So
worked in the whole ESPN family there.
Sure did. Everybody getting
nice,
the sources. So, it sounds like, when Adam Schefter's tweeting it out, it feels like we're a little bit closer, but still the same thing of finalizing that deal. We've been finalizing that deal for 5 hours now.
I applaud Bubba Cunningham for having this as a target, putting the deal together, but I just hope he has a plan B just in case. I'm sure he does.
Oh, you at least hope, because I think you got to when you're dealing with somebody
former college
like this.
golfer at Notre Dame, Bubba Cunningham.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Good
golfer. I was about to say, we're just on the team. No, good golfer. But we'll see. It seems like the way this is moving. I mean, we could, before this show's over, have the news that he is officially.
But I think Bubba might have been in school at Notre Dame with Pete Pranica.
Really?
Ask Pete. Y'all have Pete on Thursday, don't you?
That's right. Yeah. So
ask Pete tomorrow
I'll talk
if you know
with
him in school.
Yeah, I will. I will definitely do that. Well, let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, speaking of Bill Belichick, we're going to talk the NFL, another good week of action. We also got to start looking at some of these mock drafts. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at TriumphAutoSales.com. Or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales. Make this a magical Christmas with help from Genesis Diamonds. Step into a world of luxury gear. At Genesis, we have what we love, from simple diamond stud earrings to amazing one-of-a-kind designer bracelets. And you can't miss our best ever selection of luxury premium watches. For the entire December, Genesis is making everything affordable with 5 years, 0 interest financing, just diamond price by 60. And that's your payment. Or showcases with your exclusive diamond rings. This gives you exquisite craftsmanship and lasting value. All of our exclusive designers are showcasing your latest creations, and our penetration experts will help you pick out your gift that sure bring tears to your eyes on Christmas morning. So come see us at Genesis for the most romantic and memorable gift of the season. Get holiday store hours, directions, and finance details at GenesisDiamonds.com. Genesis Diamonds, luxury premium relaxes. Popular at Perkins Extended. See store for details.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Good afternoon. It's really busy now over here on 240 East from Mill Branch all the way out to 385 Bill Morris Parkway. We've watched it increase with a little bit of volume as you come off 240 on to Lamar there, going outbound, all that traffic making its way towards Olive Branch. Still not bad right now. I'm traveling down through North Mississippi. Just watch for radar. Certain sections of 55, especially around Hernando and DeSoto County. Hey, shop now and save during the holiday season at Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our family leisure studios. Write a book? Yeah, I think so. I think you've got plenty to write about, Brett. That's for sure.
We have had fun on Wednesdays, haven't we?
Man.
And
so much fun.
And we're planning after the first year, after we make the transition more toward wall-to-wall college basketball. And we're getting there, and we look forward to it. Blake Lovell will be with us, so we'll have Kevin at 5 o'clock like we've had, and Blake Lovell on the SEC. And what a year for SEC talk and coverage.
I was just about to say, I mean, I love talking to Blake Lovell. He does such a great job covering the SEC. But really, ever since the season started this year, I'm like, man, I can't wait to talk SEC.
I think I've got a special big surprise waiting to see if he can. And can do it regularly. On college and NBA. Former college and NBA coach.
Okay.
Head coach.
Okay. Well, we'll have to wait for that. That sounds very, very promising. But we got to talk some NFL right now, and certainly all the NFL news right now is surrounding Bill Belichick. We just mentioned it going to break. It sounds like we're getting very slowly and tiny steps closer to that becoming a reality with him at North Carolina.
Well, if he does this and has success in the first year or two, I think you can.
Yeah,
I think you look at SMU really over.
Exactly.
Now, Lashley did build it, but the big step forward. Would that make any other NFL types? Well, let me try this college thing.
Well, it's a good question, and I think my question is, I wonder, did Bill Belichick maybe reach out to Bill O'Brien? Kind of same type of guy, NFL, had spent time in college.
That's a great idea.
Hey, what's should I do it? Can I do it? Yes.
He did with Coach Saban.
And so he has people that he can ask. But you're right. I mean, look at SMU and it no disrespect to SMU. Brett, I have buddies that go to SMU. I know several people that go to SMU. I cheer for SMU when they're playing, not against the Tigers when they used to play the Tigers. But this is a team
I'm for them against Penn State.
Yeah, but this is a team that last offseason built for the most part of this roster through the transfer portal. They brought in a lot of talented guys in that transfer portal. Bill Belichick, with what at least North Carolina is being rumored to being promised to him, he can go out there and
$4
buy a great
million
team.
NIL taken to $20 million.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
And I bet you they did it with 15 phone calls. The over it would not go over 15.
Yeah,
I'm in.
I'm
in.
You call any North Carolina booster,
And they
any
have 'em.
North Carolina grad, and say, "Hey, we got an opportunity to get Bill Belichick as our head coach. We need you to do a little
just
something."
go down Wall Street with North Carolina people.
Yeah. And I mean the same thing is, I hear will guys want to play for him with
Michael
how he
Jordan
coaches?
said, "Yeah, I'm in."
Oh, geez. Well, then you're good.
Yeah.
You don't need anything else. You got Jordan with you. But I think there are going to be so many players that, and I've heard some people say, well, 18-year-old kids, 17-year-old kids, they don't look at Bill Belichick the same way. I think they do, because I think they were still
Money talks.
First of all, well, that's a
And
great
their
point.
parents.
Money talks, their parents, and still, I think a lot of these guys were still old enough to see Bill Belichick all those years with Tom Brady.
Wonder if he'd bring Lawrence Taylor in to North Carolina in any role. He famously played
Yeah.
there. He loved him.
Yeah, that's a good question. That'd be fun, and that's another thing is how he builds his
Some
staff.
role.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Belichick will be able to build a
Handshaking on
great
Saturday.
staff. Yeah, so I mean, it's a fun idea, and it sounds like as crazy as
I've
it
said
is,
it a couple
it's going to
times this
happen.
week. I just can't imagine that 19-year-old. Never mind the first practice, and he's really getting lit into. But just to walk into that team meeting, and there he is standing in front of you, and that's your boss.
Yeah, yeah,
that's who you have to please him.
yeah. Good luck.
Mac Brown was a big college football figure, but this is Bill Belichick
He won a
standing down there.
6-time Super Bowl winning coach.
And when he starts in on probably that sermon of there aren't a lot of rules, but you better follow the few we have.
I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy to even think about, but here we are.
And I'm thinking now, after the Egg Bowl, back in the locker room area, celebrating with his son, was Coach Charlie Weiss.
Oh, yeah.
Who was right there with Bill O'Brien and Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, making them great.
Now, the other part of this kind of story, I guess, is the part about Bill wanting his son to be kind of the coach in waiting.
Oh, I'd agree to that in a second.
I don't know much about his son other than I know he was at Washington this year. I've heard some people say he doesn't need his dad's help to be a head coach somewhere. Now, obviously, North Carolina is very different from being a head coach at most schools.
Well, I'm sure that young man knows the last name got him started, but he's got to do it.
Exactly.
Like everybody with the famous last name. I mean, Joe Buck knows how he jumped the line, but then he had to deliver on his own. And he had some role at the end with the Patriots, didn't he? Was he running their defense?
I think he was like special teams coordinator or something like that. Maybe he was on the defense. Let me find that.
But we know, especially in coaching, that the coaching fraternity is big on sons of.
Sure, they definitely are. And so, I mean, look, if that's what it takes to get Bill Belichick as your head coach.
But then, like Coach Tommy West's son, Turner had to go out and do it. Lane Kiffin had to do it. Yeah. Coach Monty got him in.
But you got to go out there and do it. Let's see.
Skip Holtz.
Yeah, so he was the he kind of bounced around. Safeties coach, defensive backs coach, and then outside linebackers coach.
That's just working all the time.
Patriots, yeah, that's
20-hour days.
Exactly. And then this year he was the defensive coordinator at Washington. So, 1 year at Washington, and now we'll go to North Carolina. So, good for him.
I will guarantee you. Who did we say North Carolina plays opening night? We just looked at it.
It was. Oh, geez.
That's your Thursday night, week 1 ESPN opener.
Absolutely.
Who's it against?
I don't know.
I forgot
already, but I can pull it up.
You can count on
But you're
that.
right. No, that will be. That will certainly be all eyes on it Because, I mean, who doesn't want to see that? And then, I mean, again, I still laugh. All I know is his first road game. His first road game is against Charlotte, which is hilarious. Let's see, 2025. I've got it here. First home game is against TCU. That's right, TCU.
Thursday night, 6 o'clock on something.
Yep. Easily. Book it right now on December 11th. If he's named the head coach, that's a primetime game.
Today we had our first mock from who at ESPN?
Who was it? It
On the
was
draft.
an ESPN Plus mock draft. And is it time? I mean, when is it time to start looking at mock drafts? Is it
getting close? Field Yates.
Field Yates. That's exactly who it was. For me, certainly as a Cowboys fan,
it's a little early. But the point I wanted to make in Phil Yates' mock draft, he has Walter Nolan going where?
15th to the 49ers.
That's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really good.
Great.
Yeah.
But in the summertime run-up, Brian, do you remember when I said you can track Ole Miss's success if you went into a coma right now? This was like July 20th.
Yep.
And you came out of it on draft night. And Walter Nolan went in the first 4 or 5 or 6 picks. Then Ole Miss not only was in the playoffs, they made noise, may have won the thing. If it's single digits but closer to 10, then it was probably a playoff appearance, and you didn't make any noise.
Yeah.
If it's in the teens, about a 9-3 year.
Yeah.
You remember when I said that?
I do remember.
I know I did.
No, I remember it very well.
And Walter Nolan had a really good year. Just needed a little more.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right about that.
Not a lot more. It was really reflective of the whole team.
Yep.
Dart, Umanami Allen, Trey Harris couldn't help it because he was hurt. You just needed a little more. It was right there. I think for Ole Miss fans, they should take that using this perspective of we're kind of down over 9-3, but take it as a good thing because it's that close.
Yep.
It can be done. Ole Miss was in that playoff bracket until the very end.
Yeah.
Don't quit now. And nobody. It's not. And the collective is rolling.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Certainly good news.
And starting with, I think it's going to start with Umanami Allen's little brother from Nebraska.
Yeah, I saw that, and I think you automatically had to think about Ole Miss. Looking at this mock draft, and I was trying to filibuster earlier because my computer was being slow, but now I have it in front of me.
See, I got my direct wire gizmo here.
I do not, and so sometimes the Wi-Fi failed me.
And you know I was really proud the day I figured out how to get it on this side.
Oh, 100%. But, even when I had it opened, it still wanted to not open up for me when I clicked over to the tab. So here are some notable names on Field Yates' first-round mock draft. He has Shedeur Sanders going number 1 overall to the New York Giants. Giants obviously need a quarterback. Shedeur, a really, really talented quarterback. And that
helps on the field, helps at the box office.
I was just about to say, I mean, that is a really good match in terms of the type of player you're getting, what he kind of brings with him, not only himself, but obviously his father, and certainly what he does on the field. Really, really good. Raiders with the number 2 pick, Cam Ward from Miami. So one of the other, feels like all year those two have kind of been going back and forth of top quarterback. Patriots picking 3rd, Travis Hunter. Obviously, we know what
Getting
he
ready
has
to be
done.
a landslide winner of the Heisman.
Yeah, I mean, easily. And then kind of scrolling down to some local guys. James Pierce Jr. From Tennessee. They have him going 11th to the Cincinnati Bengals.
They need him, and that's a steal.
That would be a really, really good pick. How about this? Brett, I want to calm down a little bit. I just want to say this, that I'm not looking at mock drafts yet. Still a little early for me. Ashton Jeanty, number 12 to the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, need a running back. Jeanty's a really good one. I'd take it.
And remember,
I would take it and run.
2 fumbles all year. Every defense, the entire game plan was stop Jeanty.
No, you knew exactly what Boise State was doing.
If they stop him one game, it goes from Boise as the 3 seed to Boise playing host in the Potato Bowl next week.
Yeah.
And I heard Joe Dank this morning going over the progressive, the money from round to round. I'm going to say Boise, they don't land in the playoffs. $20 million low side hit.
Yeah. I'd say it's probably pretty close.
It's a lot of money for Alabama's department. Yeah. But for Boise, that's how special Genty was.
Yeah, and even, I mean, you hear the argument about playing in the Group of 5, whatever. I mean, against Oregon, he had, $190 and 2 touchdowns? I mean.
And the entire focus.
Yes. I mean, you knew what they were doing.
His hand's going to be on the ball about every offensive play, if not, and for sure every series.
Yes, the Sunday morning you woke up with game week of Boise State, you immediately knew they're going to run the ball every single play.
And when you hear Heisman votes, remember this. Great as Travis Hunter is, was not even player of the year in his league. Shedeur Sanders was.
It's crazy. That's crazy. But, I mean, I think a lot of good players. We mentioned it, Walker Nolan, 15 to the 49ers. Anybody else here noteworthy? Luther Burden to the Commanders. That'd be a good weapon for Jaden Daniels out there. That seems like pretty much everyone here semi-locally, but some good names in there for the first mock draft from Field Yates.
2 weeks from today is Christmas Day. A lot of friends, a lot of family, a lot of neighborhood get-togethers, a lot of people coming by. For all your catering needs, you're going to need something from Jason's Deli over these next 2 weeks. And then for all these games and all the festivities after Christmas before we bring in 2025, let Jason's Deli do it for you. A variety of delicious choices for all 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and at dinner time. For groups of 5 or 5,000, check out the most popular choices they have. You can go online and find out about all that at jasonsdeli.com. Same day and last minute orders welcomed when you feel like you don't have your event properly planned. A lot of holiday parties now every single day and night. Let them step in, you step aside. They excel, bringing more to the table. It's a family thing at Jason's Deli with over 200 Memphis area associates at this Jason's Deli group. Dining in, to go or delivery, wholesome food forever. It's a family thing. We're big out there right now on the health kick. And I was hoping coming out of COVID that we would, and now it feels like we are going to be. Jason's Deli was ahead of this a long time ago. First franchise in the nation to be trans fat free. All the food, everything at Jason's Deli about choice. Whether you seek a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids meals, you will be delighted at Jason's Deli. Plenty of organic food to choose from. Whether you get that great salad bar in every location with over 30 items to choose from for you to prepare it however you would like, or ordering off the menu, the Mesa chicken salad, the chicken club salad, the nutty mixed up salad, the taco salad, my favorite. Catering anytime, anywhere, and all these great locations near us over on Ridgeway Road across from MUS, by the University of Memphis at Poplar and Highland, down in Olive Branch, out in Cordova, and a deviation from the health. And I was there today and I heard a guy say, I can't walk by the ice cream machine. You don't have to. Complimentary free ice cream in all these great locations. Check them out online as well at jasonsdeli.com.
Well, let's get to a break. When we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Take your basketball skills to the next level at Shoot 360 Memphis. Shoot 360 is a revolutionary basketball training facility that combines cutting-edge technology with gamification and provides instant objective feedback with hands-on one-on-one expert coaching. And now, introducing Shoot 360 Cordova, a newly renovated 50,000 square foot facility with 2 NBA regulation-sized courts, 3 high school-sized courts, and 4 shooting bays with Shoot 360 technology. Memberships are now on a monthly basis. And yes, you can become a member at both locations. Whether you're an aspiring young talent, NBA player, or looking for a unique workout, all skill levels are welcome at Shoot 360 Memphis to learn proper shooting and passing techniques, improve fundamentals, and gain a competitive edge while having fun. Shoot 360 Memphis, now in Cordova and Collierville. Call them today at 901-779-3176. That's 901-779-3176.
26 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's now available in a 32-ounce jar. It's so good to base or marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or at our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef. And she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from a Mediterranean diet to steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meat. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper is more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with the perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it. A beloved family of families still going strong since 1948. Rendezvous.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roofing. I have been told that my ads are all business and I should share some of my personality. Okay, I love tongue twisters, like the one about the terrific tasting toast by Taste Tester Toaster, or Big Black Bugs, Bleed Blue Blood, and of course Sally and her seashells. Or of course the ever-present I'm a mother pheasant plucker, I plug mother pheasants. Okay, enough of that. If you want an honest, fair, reasonable roofing, siding, or gutter estimate, call Five-Ash Roofing at 367-0050. That's exactly what you'll get. No empty promises, no high-pressure sales tactics, and no fast-talking salesman trying to convince you that today and only today is the best day for you to get a new roof. For the record, the best day to get a new roof is when you're ready for one. Five-Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Give the gift of entertainment.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, Brett, I'm trying to find my big number.
Well, I'll go first and you find it.
Yeah, please, because I took a screenshot of it on my iPad. I use my iPad all the time, Brett, but only for very specific things. I've never opened
all those
the
tools
photos.
And toys of brilliance.
So please, yes, you go first while I find this.
Here's mine in ink pen. How about that?
Well, yeah, it's probably what I should do.
My big number is 6. This year is the 6th year in a row that the Heisman Trust has invited just 4 finalists to New York City. In 2021, the Heisman Trust announced it will officially invite 4 and 4 only from here on to come to New York for the ceremony. This Saturday night ceremony of inviting finalists to New York began in 1982.
Wow.
There was a time where out there in the hinterlands, they just called you and said, hey, you won. Then they brought them to New York and had the big black tie dinner at the Waldorf. And the famous John Capoletti speech about his little brother. And that was one of those.
Wow, that's a really good big number, Brett. My big number comes from the college basketball world, and I was going through looking at the games last night, some of the games I didn't watch last night, and I saw this. I had to take a screenshot because I didn't want to forget it on my iPad. So my big number is 12. 12 is comes from the game last night between Troy and Houston. Houston ended up winning 62-42. But in that game, in the first half, Troy only scored 11 points, and they scored that 11th point to get to double digits with 12 seconds left.
And Troy's not bad.
Half. No, not at all. But held to 11 points, you get to double digits scoring. 19 minutes and 48 seconds into the first half. That's I can't even fathom it.
Kelvin Sampson loved it.
Oh, he loved every minute of it, and I wish I had known it was going on. I would have loved every minute of watching it.
And three lost Houston, but staying pretty highly ranked.
Yeah, no, they're a good team. I believe at least one, maybe two of those losses came in. They were part of the Player Eras Invitational in Las Vegas, the one that was paying NIL money.
Great field
for the team, a really strong field. So yeah, no, I think another year for them that they'll be around late.
Merry Christmas from everyone at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch, and nothing says holiday fun like driving home in a new All-Star Chevy. It's the Red Tag event in Olive Branch that could get you some big customer cash or financing as low as zero. How about a new Tahoe or Silverado, maybe a new Blazer or Suburban? Together, let's drive into Christmas and into 2025 in a new All-Star Chevy. Some of those will have special financing, and others have no payments until spring. Your good credit deserves it, and you get it at All-Star. Olive Branch is where all the new Silverados and Tahoes are, new 24s, new 25s, and if you're law enforcement, recent grad, educator, military, healthcare worker, first responder, you get a $500 bonus back. Every late model pre-owned you're looking for is at Olive Branch. All the Silverados, Toyotas, all the Jeeps, Lexus, Ram trucks, that Camaro, the Ford trucks, SUVs. If you got any vehicle you want to sell, bring it to All-Star in Olive Branch and get the most money back for it. Don't miss the final holiday red tag sale going on now in Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet. Drew DePriest and all of his staff, everyone at All-Star, wishes everybody in our listening audience a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. For more information, go to allstarautogroup.com.
According to Brendan Marks at The Athletic, Bill Belichick's contract with North Carolina is expected to be a 3-year, $30 million deal. Again, getting closer and closer.
Big money, short contract.
Yeah, I think that's just what Bill Belichick wanted.
I think somebody should swing for Nick Saban and Urban Meyer.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea at all.
Make them say no.
Especially if North Carolina can get this done, why wouldn't you? I mean, at the very least, just ask. Just call and engage that interest.
And not quite the rebuild of North Carolina either.
No.
There are places that are not that much you got to make up.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll keep you updated as it feels like we're getting closer and closer to that official announcement, because right now it's still being finalized. All the reporting is that it's being finalized. We could, in this next hour, get the announcement that it has been finalized and that he will be the next coach of North Carolina. But let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back to start our third and final hour, we're talking college basketball with Kevin Sweeney.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom-made solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs, including repairs, maintenance, and installation. Automatic Gates Construction specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com. The 2025 Range Rover Sport sits right at the heart of the Land Rover lineup, offering a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility. Smaller and more agile than a full-size Range Rover, it's a great option for everyone who wants luxury and practicality. Every model comes with 8-speed automatic transmission and all-wheel drive standard. Whether you navigate city streets or tackle rough terrain, Range Rover Sport has you covered. Every drive is powerful and breathtaking. The 2025 Range Rover Sport is the epitome of sporty luxury. Test drive one in Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City.
Let me guess, you're going to recommend that everyone get their holiday meal from Central Barbecue.
No, although it's a great idea, get everybody some fantastic Central Barbecue and not have to do any of the work, but that is not what this spot is about.
It's not?
No, this is about another way Central Barbecue can save you time and trouble.
Ah, Central Barbecue gift cards.
That's right. You don't have to fight the holiday gift shoppers when you can just go online and order up a handful of Central Barbecue gift cards.
No one has ever turned up their nose at getting the best barbecue in Memphis.
In the world.
In the world for free.
Indulge yourself or your loved ones this season with a trip to Sissy's Log Cabin. Here, you can shop our expansive selection of designer brands, one-of-a-kind jewelry, and spectacular statement pieces, all while enjoying the Sissy's promise of unmatched quality, service, and brilliant natural diamonds. Stop by any location or shop online at sissyslogcabin.com to find your trusted jeweler for holiday memories that will last a lifetime. Make a statement this season only at Sissy's Log Cabin.
Memphis, your Grizzlies are currently the second seed in the West, following a big win versus the defending NBA champions, extending your Grizzlies win streak to 3 games straight, making them one of the hottest teams in the league. Get in on all the live action this season by bringing your energy to FedEx Forum to catch the next jaw-dropping moment live. Feeling lucky? Win 4 seats, free tickets, or unlock exclusive savings by heading over to Grizzlies.com/spin-to-win.
Good afternoon. It's building pretty good now on 240 East here from Mill Branch all the way out to 385. As you get on to Bill Morris Parkway, headed out to Collierville, it's loading up over here with a little bit more volume, right on schedule actually on 40 East from Wolford, Hollywood, all the way over to White Station. 40 East is also picking up, passing Sycamore View Road out towards Fayette County. Shop now and save during this holiday season. Where? Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, with Dave Willotion, weekday mornings from 10 to 11. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Club City. Once again,
You say you stand by your man. Tell me something.
We're back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we start our third and final hour. And joining us now to talk some college basketball, Kevin Sweeney from Sports Illustrated. Go give him a follow on Twitter at CBB_Central. Kevin, thanks so much for joining us. A lot to get into, but I want to start with the Memphis Tigers and the loss they took at home Sunday afternoon against Arkansas State. A 13-point loss, a loss that dropped them out of the AP Top 25. What did you make of that type of loss at home for Penny Hardaway's team?
Yeah, look, I think at the end of the day, it was a poor performance. There's little way of spinning it. Like, they got outworked, they got out-rebounded. Whole nine. Arkansas State's a very good team. They're a very talented team, especially for a mid-major program. I said that about Louisiana Tech when we were talking last Wednesday, and I think the same holds true for Arkansas State. Like, roster-wise, that group belongs at a higher level than the Sun Belt, and they were a dangerous team if Memphis didn't show up, and Memphis didn't show up.
Have we gone overboard in saying this, Kevin? Because we have. If we have, please set us straight that both Louisiana Tech and Arkansas State could win the American.
I wouldn't say they could win the American, but I think they're certainly on par with the non-Memphis top teams in the league roster-wise. The North Texases, the FAUs, the Wichitas. The roster isn't different. So I think Memphis would be the favorite regardless, but they would certainly be in the upper echelon, I think, talent-wise.
So we can write it off to an anomaly, to a hot shooting Arkansas State, although they had a lot more open threes that they didn't make. If they make a couple of more, it is a 20, 22, 25-point pounding. But so we write it off. Now the next four, at Clemson, at UVA, FedEx Forum against Mississippi State, FedEx Forum against Ole Miss. What's the reasonable next 4-game expectation?
I mean, I think the expectation would be that you win your home games, and ideally you win on the road against Virginia. 3-1 if you're a really good team. Like, if this Memphis team is a top 20, top 25 type team, you want to find a way to get to 3-1.
But we can live with 2-2, can't we?
Yeah, you can take 2-2. Absolutely. If you slipped up one of those at home and you beat Virginia on the road, or you tripped up at Virginia, yeah, absolutely. But anything worse, then you start to be in trouble. Maybe not, we're missing the tournament and this and that, but that would hurt heading into week
0-4 negates everything done in Maui, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if they go 0-4 and
I don't think they will.
League, I don't think so either. But if they were to enter league play at 7-6, that would be a big problem.
Mm-hmm. Then you got to rattle off 16-2, 17-1.
Yeah, it makes them pay. Yeah, I don't know if it's 16-2, 15-3, whatever it is, but you gotta put a number on the board in that instance. Yep.
Yeah. Kevin, I think you kind of mentioned it, but the two glaring issues in that game against Arkansas State was how Arkansas State got open threes and were able to knock them down, and then rebounding. I think gave up 16 offensive rebounds to Arkansas State in that game. Now you turn around and you've got to play this Clemson team on the road that shoots the ball well from three and rebounds the ball well. What are the Tigers going to need to do for this game Saturday against Clemson?
And Clemson playing for revenge from last year at FedEx Forum.
Yeah, look, it's a tremendous challenge. Clemson's really good. Was really impressed with them against Kentucky. I think Ian Shefflin's one of the most underrated players in the country in terms of a guy that just dominates the backboards. So yes, I think gang rebounding and being physical 1 through 5, I think is essential. I think making sure that you don't get another quiet day from Tyrese Hunter is really big, right? Like Hunter and Haggerty can cover a lot of flaws for this Memphis group, but if one of them doesn't play well, things can get ugly fast. I think that's what we saw over the weekend. They need both their star guards firing on all cylinders to win this one.
Yeah, and that Sunday, that was more Hunter, not and Haggerty doing it. 29 from Haggerty, and he can get it any way you want to get it, off the dribble, jump shooting to the rack. He can really make the scoring.
Look, he's one of the best scorers in the country. I mean, you couldn't ask for any more than what you've gotten from him, but he's going to have some help, right? And Hunter has been that guy for the large part of the season. He wasn't on Sunday. We'll see if it's just an aberration. Realistically, it probably is. He's a decorated player in his career. It's not just this year. Memphis has kind of come out of nowhere, but they don't have the depth of scoring options outside of Haggerty to lean on someone else if Hunter doesn't step up. And so, unfortunately, I think that you run into that, especially in the game where you don't defend, right? If you need to score in the 80s and 90s to win a game, you're going to need Tyrese Hunter to play well.
So far, 38, 39 days into this college basketball season, what has been the biggest aberration? Okay, you won, but if you played them again, that's not going to happen. And there's got to be one out there that comes to mind for you.
That's a good question. I still think Gonzaga losing to West Virginia was truly bizarre. It was one of those games where even when it happened, you were sort of like, how is this happening? Now, Gonzaga did turn around this weekend and lose to Kentucky, which I was surprised by as well. Gonzaga really should be undefeated. They had big leads in both those games and just couldn't hold them. But maybe that's just my overbearing belief in the Bulldogs. But was shocked certainly by both results, but especially by that West Virginia game.
Does Creighton really want to run into KU in the tournament?
Probably not. I don't think Creighton wants to run into many people outside of Omaha right now.
Yeah.
That was a home court win to me, as much as anything. They shot the ball well. The crowd was incredible for them. That's college basketball, right? I mean, I think same thing with Missouri. It's just that type of deal. So, sometimes you ride the wave of that home crowd. Creighton certainly did last week.
Mm-hmm. Talk about kind of home courts. Last night I was watching Butler, and we don't talk much Butler basketball with you, but now you look up, they're 7-3, but 2 losses at home for them. Austin Peay earlier in the season, a team I love watching, and then last night against North Dakota State really just did not look good. Did some things in the second half and kind of came back and had an opportunity to win that game, but you look at some of their other results, they were able to beat a good Mississippi State team earlier this season. What do you make of Thad Matta's team this year?
Yeah, it's been bizarre, right? It's kind of been a 1 step forward, 2 steps back type of year. Between the Northwestern win, the Mississippi State win, which is, I don't have to tell you guys, is a great win, and then they beat SMU as well. They had some real meat on the bone on the resume and gave it right back with that North Dakota State result last night. But that's sort of been the story for the whole Big East. I mean, bad losses across the board. Every time you think someone's kind of made it through the darkness, they take a step back again. Providence beat BYU. It's like, all right, the Friars are back, and they turn around, they lose to Rhode Island over the weekend. Yeah. So it's been a tricky year for the league, just trying to find its footing, and Butler no different.
Yeah, and you talk about BYU. They got the big news yesterday. A.J. DeBonza commits to BYU and the numbers that are being thrown around between 5 and 7 million. I think I saw a story today, 5 million it sounds like, and then has the deals with Nike and Red Bull. What does that mean for this BYU team to get the number one player in the country, a guy that, he's in Utah right now playing for a prep school, but from Massachusetts, not from that area, but to go out and get that type of player?
Look, from what I was told, he's only really in prep school in Utah because, that's really all been part of this recruiting that BYU has started ever since Kevin Young got the job and they were armed with this incredible NIL war chest. Then the numbers are staggering. I don't have a number to confirm for you. I would guess it's closer to the 3 to 5 million than the 5 to 7 range. But again, as you said, where those cash flows are from is its own question, right? Is it stuff that BYU had to get the commitment? Is it a Nike deal? Is it a Red Bull deal? Is it a trading card deal, et cetera, et cetera? So he will be very, very highly paid over the next year and a half, without question. It's huge for BYU. Kind of transformational for their image, right? This is a program that, 3 years ago was essentially we're recruiting mostly Mormon kids, sort of branched out a little bit under Pope and went into Africa a little bit, recruited some American players in the portal who are, non-Mormon. But man, to go out and swim in these waters, I think says everything about what BYU's intentions are, and that's to be a major player in the college basketball landscape for a long time.
Remember, I had them in the Final Four this year. I might have been a year too soon, Kevin, because they could be knocking on the door next year. Who in college basketball has the best NIL, got their NIL shop collective set up the best?
That's a good question. BYU would certainly be up there. Kansas State has been big this year. Not necessarily the great results. Kansas is certainly at or near the top. And then, there's probably a next tier of programs in that, $4 to $5 million range roster-wise, but are pretty efficient, pretty well run, don't overpay for guys. That to me is as important as anything, right? I think once you get into the level of, all right, we have money to spend, it's not so much can you get guys done, because at the end of the day, if you have $800,000 to pay a college basketball player, you're going to be able to get a player. The question is that player going to live up to the expectations? We've seen some of the bigger budgets struggle with that. I think that's the next wave is finding which programs can use their dollar the most efficiently.
And you saw John Calipari's comments last night after what I think is his best win so far to date at Arkansas, beating Michigan at the Garden. Said he's going to have to really look at his 9-man rotation, and that's intriguing because in the summertime and the run up to the season, he was talking about he wanted to get down to about 8 or 9. What's the right number? I mean, Hubie Brown famously here in town with the Grizzlies had his 10-man rotation. What's the right rotation? 8, 9? What is it?
Yeah, look, I love 8 or 9. I think in this day and age, you want depth, but you want to keep guys happy. Now, the problem you run into is if you recruit 9 players who can play for you, you've got guys who think they should be starting. You've got the guys 10 through 13. And this is the area that Cal tried to avoid was 10 through 13. 10 through 13 are never going to play, and they're always going to be unhappy. So he kind of neglected those altogether, didn't recruit them. Well, now all of a sudden somebody gets hurt, somebody gets sick, yada yada, and now he's complaining, I don't have depth, I haven't been able to practice, the whole deal. But it is awkward. I mean, especially in this day and age when guys don't want a red shirt. 4 or 5 years ago, you could have a deep bench of guys that were young players who had talent, who were developing. Arkansas doesn't really have that. They also don't really have overall depth. So it's a shaky kind of position to be in. But at the same time, I think Cal's biggest concern was having guys that could ruin his culture who weren't even going to be on the floor. And that's really what he's trying to straddle at the moment.
I do not know this, but I know if it was mine, I wouldn't like it. Billy Richmond from here in Memphis last night, 1 minute played for Arkansas against Michigan.
Now, I was told that Billy and the Thiero, who only played 22 minutes, a little uncharacteristic for him, had the flu. I don't know if that impacted things at all. But either way, he's not playing a ton, certainly. And again, that's the hard thing, right? Billy Richmond's a huge recruit, expects to be not just a player, but a starter right away. It's not always going to happen, but he certainly expects to play more than 1 minute, that's for sure.
Talking to Kevin Sweeney, joins us every week to talk college basketball. From Sports Illustrated, Tennessee up to number 1 in the AP Top 25 polls. They get another big win last night over Miami, and it's really fun to see some of these guys that they went out and got, group of 5 guys from the transfer portal. Igor Milicic from Charlotte, who was really good for them last year. Chaz Lanier from North Florida. Even a guy that's been coming off the bench, Jordan Gainey, that came in last year, but this year so far averaging double digits. What do you make of kind of the way that Rick Barnes is, finding ways to build these teams? Last year, we know, who they were able to bring in and what he did for that team last year in Dalton Connect, but, going out and finding these gems maybe at lower levels that can be big impact players.
Look, I don't think enough credit has been given to Rick Barnes in terms of his willingness to adapt, right? Like, I don't think Rick Barnes, you told him 5-10 years ago that he was going to have to start 3 new transfers. He'd be at all happy with that state of affairs, and that's where we are. But not only has he adapted, he's thrived. Like they've gotten the best transfer in the portal 2 years in a row. And Chaz Lanier this year in my mind, and then obviously last year with Dalton Connect.
Yeah.
But no one thought those guys were that at the time. Like they had to go evaluate and find it, figure out which kind of 18-point per game mid-major guy has a chance to translate up best, and that's what they've done. I mean, and it's not just the recruiting that they've adapted in terms of its style of play. I mean, they take more threes than they probably ever have. For a Barnes team, they're very much kind of a threes and layups offense, the way that an Alabama is, or some of the other teams. Maybe they play a little bit slower than those teams, but they have embraced a lot of kind of modern characteristics, and I think Barnes doesn't get nearly enough credit for being willing to evolve, changing with the times, and is rewarded with elite teams here year after year.
And Kevin, I know why here that with the rivalry, with the intensity, and with Memphis and Tennessee, and why he is so reviled by Tiger fans. But his walk-off interview at halftime last night of that game, I thought was really revealing of what the little interaction, well, a lot of interaction that I've had with him through the years. That's the Rick Barnes that I know. He's a happy warrior. He's a basketball ambassador, play the game the right way kind of guy. And if you get me, fine. If I get you, we're not going to fall out too bad. But he and Penny managed to.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think Rick is one of those people that's an incredible competitor, but also has a way of, all right, when we get off the floor, like, you're genuine and authentic in the best ways. And look, obviously, you spend as much time in the business as Rick Barnes has, you're going to probably make an enemy or two, especially the reality of it, especially when you're as competitive as he is. But, man, you will not find a lot of folks outside of maybe Penny Hardaway that have not nice things to say about Rick Barnes and the career he's had.
But I will say this on Tournament Eve. He is the current best coach to not ever win it, and Tennessee is the current best team to not ever be in a Final Four.
Yeah, look, the pressure is going to be there, and making the second weekend the last 2 years, I think, helps a little bit. Certainly last year, they were a Final Four caliber team, go to the Elite Eight, play a great Purdue team. But as this team continues to look the part and continues to not just win, but dominate against good, high-major opponents, yes, like that's going to be a big story of these next couple months is can they get over the hump? Can they get to a Final Four? Can they compete for a national championship? I think so far, yes. But they are another one of these teams, sort of like a Memphis or like Arkansas. They don't have a ton of depth. So what happens when you get into the grind that it will be SEC play this year? That, to me, is what I'm watching most of Tennessee.
What wins the SEC this year? Out of 18 conference games, can you win it at 11-7?
I think it'll be a little higher, but, I mean, not much, right? 13-5, 14-4, like that feels like a sweet spot. Like,
except for one or two, I would sign up for 11-7 right now. There's a couple probably aiming a little higher.
Yeah,
I bet 11-7 will get you a first round bye, a top 4 seed in that tournament.
Yeah, the double buys to Friday.
That's a heck of a year.
Yeah. One of those teams that will certainly be in the mix for one of those double buys, Alabama, it looks like they'll get Chris Youngblood back maybe this week, in a guy that we saw a lot of last year when he was at USF. What does he bring to that lineup? It sounds like Nate Oates really loves the leadership roles he brings as a very experienced collegiate player.
Yeah, look, he's won the last 2 years. He's been part of super successful programs. He's a big-time shooter, which was very obvious, just in the stats. But when I watched the film over the summer, the thing that really popped for me Like, he can play with the ball in his hands a little bit and go pass and ball screens. He can defend. Like, he's a much more well-rounded player than I think a lot of people realize. And in that system, being a bigger guard that can guard multiple positions, that can shoot the three at a very high clip, but hyper efficient and can play with the ball, like that's a super valuable piece. And now they lost Latrell Wrightsell the other day to an Achilles injury, big time shooter himself. So Youngblood, obviously, I think that's the first priority, is getting his shooting in there. But his overall floor game is super underrated, and I think he'll make a big impact now that he's healthy. Hopefully he's good right away. Maybe he'll be on a bit of a limitation early on, but super important X factor for this Bama team here heading into SEC play.
Coming up in January, night in, night out, you can be in one of these three places: night in, night out in the Big 12, night in, night out Big 10, or night in, night out in the SEC. Where do you want to sign up for?
Man, I think this year the SEC. Like, I think this league is the deepest league in the country. I think we've already seen how good the atmospheres can be in a lot of these places for basketball, and I think that'll only continue to grow. I mean, it was awesome at Mizzou the other day, and obviously that's Kansas, and it's a big rivalry game for them. But if the bottom of that league, and I think Missouri will probably be in the bottom half, if the bottom is rocking the way that it can be, then imagine what it's going to look like at the top. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch all year long.
Yeah. In the Big Ten, I was a little surprised to see, obviously, Big Ten starting conference play already very early, but I was surprised to see only 4 teams in the conference don't have a conference loss already. UCLA, Michigan, and Michigan State have all played 2 conference games with no losses. Indiana has only played 1. They're 1-0. The rest of the conference has at least 1 conference loss already. So with that, who is the best team currently in the Big Ten, and who's the team with the most potential in the Big Ten?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about what number might win the SEC. I mean, I actually do think 13-7, 12-8 might be hit the Big Ten. The parity's unreal. Who's the best team? I think the most talented team is Illinois. The way that Kasparashak has shown us has lived up to the hype and more. And he was awesome. I saw him at Northwestern on Friday, and another big game against Wisconsin. He's a different level of talent, and I think as he settles into college basketball, kind of watch out for everybody else. The team I think is the favorite right now, though, is actually UCLA, and part of that is their schedule, right? This unbalanced schedule that the league has, really benefits UCLA because they get Washington and USC, 2 of the West Coast teams, twice each. Those are probably, to me, the 2 worst teams in the league. So if you can get your 4 wins right there, they just got a road win at Oregon, which is one of the tougher games you'll play in the league this year. All of a sudden, like you're sort of playing from ahead already, and we'll see what happens, the rest of the way. But I think if you're only trying to get to 13, 14 league wins to win the league, and you've got 4 kind of handed to you, nothing's a gimme in college basketball, but you understand my point. That certainly swings things quite a bit.
Kevin, I got to tell you a funny story about Illinois coming to Oxford to play the game right before the season started, the exhibition game, and where Illinois stayed in Oxford, football weekend, Oklahoma weekend, they wanted Saturday night only play and then leave on Sunday after the game, being played early on Sunday morning. They called around, and every hotel in town was going, for $600-800 minimum 2-night stay, football weekend. And the travel coordinator for Illinois told one of the hotels, "We don't pay that at Chicago for the Big Ten tournament." And the hotel person said, "Sorry, if you're staying here during the Oklahoma weekend, that's what you're paying."
That's pretty good. I was actually told that they made sure they had to fly in during the game happening itself to make sure that there was not traffic and their bus wouldn't just be like stuck in Oxford for who knows how long to get.
Yes, that is accurate.
Wow.
Because they ended up staying at the hotel where I stay on football weekends, and they had a blast in the Grove.
I'm sure it would have been. Sure, it would have been a lot of fun for those boys, and maybe that's why they played so poorly the next day.
Ole Miss got up 28 in that game.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, Ole Miss was great that day. Illinois was horrible. Illinois is going to have some nights like that where they don't look very good. But the best version of Illinois, to me, is best in the Big Ten. We'll just see how often we see it.
If you're Chris Beard from this point forward, a couple games before the Memphis game and then into conference, would you rather know you have patented Chris Beard defense or just make shots?
That's a great question. I think you got to continue to score. Like, I don't think they're going to defend quite at the level.
You can't win 45-44. You got to score.
Not in this league. Like, there's so much offensive talent on the floor. So, I mean, look, I think the way that they've scored it so far is encouraging. Got to keep making shots, as you said. I got to defend a little bit better, but feel like they're in a good place. All things considered.
Mm-hmm. Well, Kevin, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Any games this week?
Yeah, Saturday will be a fun one. We're going to do a little doubleheader, drive down to Indianapolis in the morning for Texas A&M Purdue, and then a cross over to Champaign for Illinois Tennessee, which would be a blast later that evening.
Classic Saturday.
Yeah, that'll be
You just kind of threw it in there like it's a regular old humdrum Saturday.
For him,
Kevin.
it is. I mean,
be safe driving.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yep. See you later, guys.
Thank you very much.
Kevin Sweeney joining us to talk.
That's a
some
great
Saturday.
Saturday.
It's a really good Saturday. I mean, when he said we're pulling a doubleheader, I was like, okay, that's good. And then he listed the two games. I was like, oh wow, that got 10 times better.
I do think that the travel and, as Kevin said, the bus into all that was going on.
That's crazy.
In Oxford, the game was going on, and then Illinois enjoyed post game. That was 11 o'clock game. That's one of my favorite groves, especially after a win.
Yeah.
Is the after the early game. Those players, they enjoyed it. I'm not talking at all about drinking. They just enjoyed the fun. I don't think they had their biggest game face on.
No. Not by any stretch
And Ole
of
Miss
the
played well,
imagination.
but those games don't count.
Yeah, and Ole Miss continue
You
to play
can
well.
use those games however you want.
Oh,
if you play somebody, big time close, we're right there.
Yeah.
If you get blown out, who cares? You win big. Look out, here we go.
Well, it's like, when people will bring up stats and, you hear people say, well, you can make stats tell any story you want them to tell. It's same thing with those exhibitions, times a million, right? Like, if you look good, you can make it say, hey, we're going to Sweet 16. You look bad. Well, they weren't ready. They didn't take it serious. Exhibition game. But no, that was a really fun exhibition.
Did you watch
game.
a lot of the Arkansas game last night?
Yeah, no, I watched a good bit of both of those games.
Best they played all year, isn't it?
They looked really good. And I think, like Kevin said, I was a little surprised Duthiero didn't play a lot, but if it was something like
the 1 minute for
flu,
Billy Richmond,
and Billy Richmond, look, I think is going to be a good player. I saw him last year, whenever he was a senior in high school. I didn't think he was ready for big time college basketball. I didn't think he really was out there caring too much, and certainly when you're playing for Cal, you got to care a little bit to be out there.
Teaching, coaching, not crazy. Cal was on display last night.
Yeah.
I think that's when he's at his best. Instead of stomping his foot over there about to take his back out. I think he knows with this team. Now, he may go crazy late February with them.
A lot can change from now to when we're in the middle of conference play. But, no, I mean, they looked really good, and that's a good Michigan team. And I think I love their big men. The way that they're playing, the guy he brought from FAU with him last year and the new guy, Wolf, that he brought in, those two guys both playing at the same time, that's hard to beat. And I thought Trevon Brazile looked really good, especially late in that game.
It was a good house.
It was so much fun. Both those games were a lot of fun, and obviously the first one, a little easier for Tennessee than that second game with Arkansas. But next week when we talk to him, I gotta get his thoughts on through a month of Doug Gottlieb at Green Bay, 2-8 to start his tenure at Green Bay. Hadn't been great. Obviously the big hire before the season started. Well, before we get to a break, let me remind you our great sponsors, Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Jaguar Bluff City, they've been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984. Their talented team, they're ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 model like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2025 Range Rover Velar, and the 2025 Defender. Test drive the Range Rover Sport where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635. It's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Take a look at the Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. Don't forget about the Defender. Available in multiple models to fit your needs, the Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call, 877-259-6169. Visit them online, jaguarbluffcity.com. But make sure you go out there and visit them. 6335 Wheel Cove, just off of Quince. Test drive those beautiful vehicles in a perfect time with the holidays right around the corner. Go and check out Jaguar Bluff City. Well, let's get to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ. Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's on Highway 64 in Marlin, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill. There's no difference with beautiful orders and meaningful. Social media just for December, we're offering 5 years, 0 interest financing on any play purchase. With a special offer, everything's affordable. Just pick any item, divide the price by 60, and match your payment. So come to Genesis Tires. Our experts help you choose the perfect headliner gift. Experience major payments over 5 years. Get holiday store hours, directions, and finance details at GenesisTires.com. Happy holidays with Genesis Tires.
High-energy, full-body workout that utilizes the same equipment and technology employed by Floyd Mayweather to achieve his impressive 50-0 record. The workout features 4 types of heavy bags, treadmills, rows, battle ropes, weights, and much more. Visit Mayweather Boxing and Fitness, located at 2257 North Trail Top Parkway in Cordova. Train like a champ. Mayweather Boxing and Fitness. 901-673-1267.
Good afternoon. Still a bit crowded over here on 240 East, working your way past Mill Branch all the way to 385. That normal build-up, I guess you can call it that, for this time of day. It's heavy. 40 East, passing Sycamore View Road, all the way out into Fayette County. There's been lots of radar out there. Crowded over in the West Memphis area and certain sections of I-40 at 55, but nothing like it was yesterday. Shop now and save during the holiday season at Weiber's Jewelry. They're located at 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Well, Brett, I thought this was going to be the segment where you officially lost your mind on the legislation of felonies for flag planting, but now we're a little unsure if it's legit or not, thanks to David Cohn.
I'm going to let David Cohn get to the bottom of it. I do watch his Get Off the Lawn lawn segment. It is. And then I reserve the right to lose my mind.
There you go. Yes, you can wait. I like the way you're playing it. Wait and see. Get all your ducks in a row, and then you can freak out if it's warranted.
Will they patronize, knowing the public, the red meat crowd wants to hear that? It's just so crass.
Oh, it's terrible. It's awful. But hey, with that rivalry, I expect nothing less. When I saw it, and before I even saw who it was, when I just saw there is legislation being proposed to make planting a flag a felony, I immediately went, oh, it's one of the sides of Ohio State, Michigan. It's got to be the Ohio State side.
And we know that the playoffs did not do anything to dampen that. And now, he was mostly right. When I went 2 years ago, right before you saw it here with Game Day, right before they go live, Reese Davis kind of pumps up the crowd and does a little testimonial. And that day he said he was so honored. I think he sincerely meant it. He was so honored to be there because it was going to be the last one there like this. Yeah. Because he said if and when we come back in 2 years, or if we come back in 2 years, we will have the playoffs, and it might be diminished. Well, it wasn't at all diminished, and Michigan wasn't very good.
Yeah. When that's the thing is it feels like...
And still ruined their year.
It's crazy. Still, Brett, they could win a national championship, and there would still be some people saying, well, we didn't beat Michigan. That's crazy.
Really could.
I mean, imagine... I don't even know what to compare it to. I mean, just...
I don't know that you get there in Iron Bowl world.
No, I don't think you do.
And I've been to a bunch of them, and for me, the ones I've only been to one Michigan Ohio State game, so I don't want to be Mr. Expert about it. I've been to enough Iron Bowls to know that to me, that's the best rivalry to go to, especially when both are good. But I don't know if you won a national championship, well, we didn't win the Iron Bowl. No, we won a national championship. I think would be sufficient.
I think so.
I think,
but I don't believe that same thing with Ohio State.
Those in season, middle of the season, like Third Saturday, like Cocktail Party, like Red River. You got a lot of time to recover from it anyway, and you always have. It's not quite the gamble, the stakes you're playing for at the end.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, I'm curious with the 12-team playoff and how it's spaced out, does that give that a little more time to heal if they start winning and they're winning in convincing fashion? Certainly the path they have to win and stay alive, they're going to have to beat some really good teams. I mean, we know it already right now. You got to beat Tennessee, and then you got to beat Oregon to get to the semifinals. Those would be two really big wins, but I still don't know if it would heal a loss to Michigan, especially with how bad Michigan
playoffs
is.
Are going from 12 to at least 14 after next year, after 2025 for the 2026 season. Probably 16. I don't even know. How do you do a bracket with 14? How many buys you give, all that? I don't want to tax my brain with it. But at 16, do you want to keep more conference or more campus games, or do you want to incorporate maybe like Citrus Bowl, the Tampa Bowl, Texas Bowl, them rotating?
Yeah, that's a good question because I do think I'm going to love the campus games. I think that's going to be awesome. But at the same time, when we're already talking about bowl games losing the feeling, and now that you have the playoffs, I think it would be ideal to add some of these bowl games that are, have that.
They have been really good to college football.
Exactly. And so I think, these type of bowl games, when you're talking about, not the biggest of bowl games, but certainly still big bowl games.
And when Nashville gets the Dome, they're going to want Music City in that mix.
They will.
And they sure will be. It won't be the Music City Bowl bidding for it, but they will be bidding for the final destination game, the championship game.
Yeah, no, they will. So, no, I mean, what do you think? I don't know.
I want to see how it works. I think I know I love the idea of campus, but let's see. Even for them that up there, and they're used to it, and they have those right kind of $30 wool socks that I had to buy before the Arkansas game a few years ago, and they didn't do anything. I was still froze, and it was 27 degrees.
Yeah,
I want to see how this plays out on campus. I like the idea of it. And I think this year I would like it more if the games were down here. But they feel like they're all up there.
It does feel like they're all up there. But, no, I mean, it's, And
it's a game in Austin.
Sure, but still, that's kind of way down there, it almost feels like.
And as fun as the football scene in Austin that it is, it can be a little laid back.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think when you say down here, I mean, we're so close to SEC town. And while Texas is in the SEC, it doesn't feel like SEC country down there yet. And so, when you say that, I think, Oxford and Tuscaloosa and Auburn and those type of Athens, Knoxville, those type of atmospheres, hosting would be a ton of fun. It would really feel even bigger than what it is.
I thought Tennessee fans would be, and they're not. I thought they would be more outraged that probably should have been a seeding flip-flop with Tennessee and Ohio State.
Yeah, I thought so as well. And, I have a couple of Tennessee fans that at first were, a little upset, but I think you're right. I thought they would be a little more fired up about that.
Full SEC schedule dates, not times, released tonight at 6.
Yeah.
The conference opponents will just be reversed from, if you played them at home this year, you go there. Next year, anything big you're going to watch, look for, big takeaway?
No, I mean, I don't think anything crazy. I mean, it will be interesting to, see how it's all laid out. But, I'll ask you. I mean, what are you looking for?
I want a little more oomph at the beginning. We just kind of eased into week 1 last year. Thursday was sleepy. Saturday was bad.
Really bad.
Somebody's got to be the
Somebody's got to throw a punch.
And play a conference game out of the gate. Opening weekend.
That would be really fun.
And I know there are going to be plenty of week 2 conference games. Ole Miss will go to Kentucky that weekend for the big rematch.
Yeah.
Can't beat Kentucky bad enough to get that revenge, can you?
No.
Can never.
Well, I was about to say, what were we talking about last week? I mean, what would it take to wash away that loss at home? Certainly more than a win on the road.
Not beating them.
No.
Can't beat them bad enough to make up for that.
No.
And I know week 3, Saturday, September 13th, Arkansas will come to Oxford. So week 2 and week 3 will be conference games.
Yeah, because Arkansas, the way their schedule sets up, I think it's, at Ole Miss and then the next week at Memphis? Is that how it sets up?
And then Notre Dame in Fayetteville.
Not fun.
Yeah, tough September.
Very tough September, but, good for them, I guess.
It is.
Sam Pittman can be ready for it.
Liberty Bowl talking 42,000 capacity
for the game. Sounds like.
Brian, I'm no structural engineer, and I wish him well with it. But as I'm told in all the phases of construction, that it's the completion of phase 2, which will be in time for opening day of 2026, the entire place is only going to seat 41.
Yeah. Now
that's some new math for me.
Yeah, it seems you've heard a lot of talk about that, and certainly with Arkansas being the team from the SEC, you would figure a lot of people going to make the trip that are Arkansas fans, both here locally and over there across the river. I mean, certainly you want a lot of seats for them, but I mean,
where are you putting them?
Not much has changed from those Tiger games.
When you can see the Coliseum from the Hollywood side.
Yeah, and certainly those games were capacity in the 30s. So I don't really know what they expect to change.
I don't know how they're doing that.
No, I don't either. But hopefully hopefully they can do it and get a crowd.
Whatever crowd you want to announce 912,278 if you want to.
Yeah,
I mean I'm so exhausted by the announced number and the real number.
Yeah, I mean, Brett, we it feels like it's a yearly conversation here, the difference between actual butts and seats and announced numbers.
And I know the scan count number at Tiger games irritates a lot of people. First of all, the information that I get is not proprietary. Nobody's giving me something they shouldn't be. No. It is public information because the University of Memphis is a state university. It's Mr. and Miss Taxpayer pay for it. You're supposed to know what their spending is like. And in that contract, a pretty big chunk of money goes on certain levels of attendance. That's why scan count's gotten important. And they only release, and this is really diabolical, anybody, whether it's Memphis or anybody else, they only release those real numbers when the coach gets in trouble. They did that to Tommy West at the end.
They did.
They started giving real numbers. They sure did it to Larry Porter at the end.
Yeah.
They did it to Tubby at the end.
They definitely did it to Tubby.
I mean, you were getting real numbers out there. All the media people that I think some of them want to get mad at me. You could go to any number of about 3 or 4 University of Memphis administrators after every game, and they would give you that number. It is not proprietary. It's no big secret, missile launch combination.
Brett, that is the point of the year. Is you are absolutely right. When things are going good, when teams winning, I mean, you see the announced attendance
19,271.
Exactly.
Wait, the place only holds 18.
When Tubby is going through it and nobody's showing up,
36.94.
Exactly. That's hilarious.
That's sorry for
is.
Anybody that does it out there.
Yeah. No, that's a. I didn't even think about that.
And last summer we saw it in St. Louis. We saw them.
We sure did.
I'll be nice and say fibbing. Anybody with any vision could tell that wasn't 41,000.
Nowhere close.
And I just don't know why you have to insult the people like that.
No, it's sad, is what it is. But you see it all over the place.
And then kill the messenger.
Yes. Yeah. That's what it is.
How dare you give the real number?
No, it's crazy. Last couple things before we get to a break. It sounds like West Virginia is finalizing a deal with Rich Rodriguez. It's felt like it's been moving in that direction for probably about a week now. I don't really love it, but I guess we'll see how
I kind of do.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you?
And I like him. I think it was 1 year he was with Matt Luke at Ole Miss 2019. And wild and crazy guy, fun guy, and hardcore football guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean on game day, can cuss a blue streak.
I believe it.
And if you'll remember in 2019, that was Matt Corral's first college start.
Yeah.
Against the Tigers, against Brady White, lost 15-10. And that day, and you know how tight the box, the booth is at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, then the old one. It's been torn down. It needed to be. And I'm standing kind of behind that area by the elevator, and I hear Rich Rod, Matt, blah, 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 blankety blank, blankety blank. And I'm thinking, is he cussing the head coach like that? Well, it was in the headset talking to Matt Corral. And I thought, my goodness, man, you can't talk to a head coach like that. Well, he wasn't.
Right. That's funny. Wow. Yeah, no, but it looks
talk about
like,
coaching hard. He coaches hard.
Yeah, he sure does. And he'll take over as West Virginia, and we'll see about Bill Belichick. I mean, all signs pointing to him being the coach. A lot of media people tweeting. And
do they bring Michael Jordan to the press conference?
You got to
the
big
you? Pep rally announcement party.
Don't you? Yeah. I think he should hand the jersey with Belichick's name on the back of it to him.
Sure should.
Hey, you roll out that teal.
Bring Julius Peppers in. LT in.
I think you bring everybody in. But I mean, it seems like there's nothing been completely official put out there, but every media member out there is
Roy Williams there
and talking about it. Oh, you bet it. You bet Roy Williams.
Got to bless it.
Oh, yeah. But everyone's tweeting out like this is a done deal. So it feels like it's a done deal. North Carolina getting Bill Belichick, really big news. But let's go ahead and get to our final break. And when we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Jenkins Floors and More invite you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Because it's Christmas, Family Leisure needs your help. Family Leisure has inventory they have to move because you know it's Christmas. So don't wait. You can complete your ultimate game room with a new pool table, a new shuffleboard, new arcade games, or just get all of them for Christmas. Tons and tons of theater seating, overstock, and place to move. 'Tis the season for fire pits. And all fire pits at Family Leisure are now 20 to 30% off. You say you didn't get a spa this year? Let's say no more. Spas are in stock, ready for Christmas delivery, and up to $1,500 off. These are are just a few of the deals happening right now for Christmas. Just come on by and check out their gigantic showroom. You never know what kind of deal you're going to find. Family Leisure. It's right at I-40 where family and fun come together for Christmas.
Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road in Memphis, right off I-40.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. Babbel is designed with you in mind. From expert-created lessons to conversational video units and even live classes, you can personalize your Babbel experience to be exactly what you need to really learn a new language more easily. Go ahead, set a goal for yourself. Accomplish it with Babbel. Try Babbel for free. Go to babbel.com. That's babbel.com.
I'm Sean Sewer with XMC Technologies, your local source for the best in office technology for over 30 years. We believe that being a technology partner means meeting our clients' needs as they change over time. That's why I'm happy to share that we are now Visual Edge IT. As cyber attacks continue to be a growing threat, our customers are asking for more cybersecurity and ransomware protection. For more information on how to protect your office, visit us at visualedgeit.com or call us locally 901-737-8910.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskell.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, Brett, I learned a couple of things today. The first thing, very quickly, that I learned, I wanted to bring it up, I meant to bring it up in the last segment, then we just ran out of time, but it looks like G.G. Jackson was back at practice today with the Grizzlies, completely out there in workout gear. I don't know if he was going 100%, but at least out there, which is a good sign for his return to this rotation. I still don't know when that will be. Earlier on December 4th, the Grizzlies medical update put out that G.G. Jackson is expected to return to play within 6 to 8 weeks. So still, 4 weeks away from that to even begin thinking about it, but definitely a good sign to see him out there. The other thing I learned today is this Roki Sasaki story, the Japanese young phenom, 23 years old. He's been posted to MLB teams, but because of his age, he cannot go out there and get the type of money that we've seen some of the older Japanese players come over here and get. It'll be more like Shohei, where he gets a very small deal starting out, which means every team in Major League Baseball will have an opportunity to be able to pay him the money he can make. But it was interesting yesterday at winter meetings, his agent that has not officially met with him yet since coming over to America said that he might not want to play in a big market because of how young he was and his decision to leave Japan and go to America, that the Japanese media put out hit pieces against him and his family, very mean, very bad things that he had to put up with the media in Japan, and that from what he has spoken with, that he does not have a good relationship or a good idea of media, and that maybe he doesn't know for a fact. Look, Brad, I don't want to get everybody excited, but he did say it could, maybe not, but there could be some thought in his mind that he doesn't want to be in a New York or L.A. where the media is going to be very rampant. Yes,
Middle America,
yeah,
we want
right.
you.
Oh, yeah.
What I learned, number one, Tennessee took care of business last night in their first game. As number one, this is the 6th time in Tennessee basketball program history to be number one, famously after the 1-2 game when they defeated the Tigers in 2008. But this is the earliest and the first time they've ever been number one in the non-conference period of college basketball.
Wow. Interesting. Brett, what I could have done without, it's got to be the news with just honestly the transfer portal in general. It's crazy right now. It's hard to keep up with, but I am happy that these guys can go and change teams if they feel like they need to. But Brett, I was looking through yesterday, and we're talking complete quarterback rooms for teams. I mean, I'm going through there. I think Coastal Carolina is one of them. I'm seeing like 4 or 5 quarterbacks in the transfer portal. I mean, complete rooms just being completely destroyed by guys entering the transfer portal. For the Tigers, though, they pick up a commitment today, so things are going well. I have not seen any notable names for the Tigers enter the transfer portal, but then you got teams like Arkansas that are getting ready to, start bowl preparations and have
wholesale
20-some-odd guys in the transfer portal. I don't know. John was asking me what the answer is to changing it. I don't know what an answer would be.
Let it play out.
Yeah, let it play out. I don't think it's a bad thing, but
strong survive.
It is crazy how it's all happening so fast.
Darwinism at its best. You want to make the 55-year-old guy matter in heck as you bring up NIL and portal.
Oh,
man, I liked it the way it used to be. I bet you did.
No, it's fine how it is now, I think, but I'm also half of that 55-year-old's age.
That's right. I could have done without DeMarvion Overshone's knee injury. It was everything. ACL, man. MCL, PCL. He may never play again.
Oh, man.
Devastating.
It's such
devastating
a good
for the Cowboys.
Very devastating. I mean, can I take that as what I could have done without?
It's so bad. They're underdog to Carolina.
Oh, Brad, I saw that earlier today. Oh, how in the world are they underdogs?
But we're here for you,
Carolina. I'm hammering it. I mean,
Cowboys as the dog?
Yeah, why not? I can't do that as a fan. I can't bet on my own team. It's a rule I live by. I bet a lot, but I will not bet on my team.
As a Titan, I'm not going to do it either.
Well, that's fair.
As a Lion, I will.
There you go, Brett. Lifelong Lion fan.
Brett's Lions for the win.
8 weeks. He's been saying the last 8 weeks. I think we might officially be close to 8 weeks. Yeah. I don't know. Where are you beaming tonight?
Houston for the NBA Cup. Go Warriors. In that game, though, Grizzlies in second, tied in the loss column with Houston. 3 back in the loss column, trailing Oklahoma City.
Yeah, that'll be a fun game. I'll beam to that first game tonight. Hawks and Knicks. Brett, what will it look like if the Knicks are in the NBA Cup Finals? It will be madness. I mean, forget Las Vegas.
Lead story on Good Morning America.
100%.
Lead story on the Today Show.
Brett, I don't need Las Vegas. Move that game to Madison Square Garden. Make it a home game for the Knicks for the NBA Cup. They deserve it, but I think this would be a good game. The Hawks have been a team that they're playing a lot better than what they were last year. Some of those young guys that are really stepping up and playing their roles really, really well. But going up against this Knicks team, we know they made the moves in the offseason that they want to be looked at as one of the top-tier teams in the NBA, certainly winning the NBA Cup. Maybe you can be in that conversation.
College basketball tonight, 2 really good games, UTEP at U of L and Fresno at BYU. Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, not a lot out there. You got Kentucky playing Colgate, but Colgate's not very good this year.
Finals, exam time.
Yeah, no, exams have made it a very, very slow
This is about as slow the sports scene's been since the All-Star break.
It really is. I mean, you look around.
Thank goodness for the NBA Cup.
Yeah, no NFL.
Silver right again.
He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. They look, check out the calendar, see what everybody's doing. They go, look at that week.
Cup time.
That is our NBA Cup week, and they're doing a really good job with it. And I think these will be 2 good games tonight as well. But that's all the time we have. Enjoy the college basketball, the NBA hoops tonight as well. A reminder, it's not the doubleheader we got yesterday with both games on TNT. First game tonight, Hawks and Knicks on ESPN, starting here in about 5 to 10 minutes. And then that second game, Warriors-Rockets, will be a TNT game. But that's all the time we have. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.